a future bright, where men could dream in black and gold. Captains bold and Vulcans wise, stories that would never grow old. We explored the stars for knowledge, not for soap opera tears. No crying empaths, no spore drives, no endless war and fears.
Good morning, everybody.
Discovery, burning bright and burning wrong. Michael Burnham saved the day again in every single song. They darkened up the galaxy, made heroes into wrecks, turned hope into a therapy session. What the hell did they expect? Star Trek is dead, they killed it slow. Discovery lit the funeral pyre, let the ashes blow. Strange new worlds danced on the grave with callbacks cheap and loud. And Starfleet sold a soul away to a woken weeping crowd. No more to boldly go, just feel my pain and cry it out. The final frontier's boarded up, the lights have all gone out. They gave us Pike and #1, thought we'd cheer and clap our hands, but turned the bridge into a drama club with romance in the stands. Gone got scary, Spock got feelings, canon bent and broken too. Episodic charm, they tried it once, then drowned it in deja vu. They promised wonder, gave us arcs that drag across the years, filled the screen with trauma porn and therapy fueled tears. Where's the prime directive? Where's the debate of right and wrong? Now it's all about the feelings and singing the same damn song. Star Trek is dead, they killed it slow. Discovery lit the funeral pyre, let the ashes blow. Strange new worlds danced on the grave with callbacks cheap and loud. And Starfleet sold the soul away to a woken weeping crowd. No more live long and prosper, just process your trauma now. The 5-year mission's over, friend, and no one's asking how. They say it's evolving, say it's new, say Roddenberry would approve. But Gene would see the mirror crack, the message lost, the heart removed. Academy kids in blue Klingon drag, preaching lessons we don't need, while the old guard fades to black. And the fans are left to bleed. Star Trek is dead, we watched it die. Discovery held the knife. Strange new worlds wave goodbye. Starfleet buried what was great under layers of CGI. The stars are cold, the dream is gone. No reason left to try. Exastrous, nothing now, just silence in the sky. Beam me up, there's nothing left to see.
That's right. All the best AI slop. At least I play part of the slop before I put it in. I actually have musical talent. I just... if I have to make a new goddamn song every day, I mean, it gets very troublesome. It's like making like thumbnails, right? Like I try to make a new thumbnail every show, and somebody bitched me out. Oh, you should be making those all the time. It's like I don't have a goddamn like slave over here making them for me. Make the AI. Like me and Yuffie designed my character, and it's a real person made the model, and I don't know what more people want from me, man. You notice my thumbnails? Well, thank you. I try to do, again, a new one every day, more or less. Sometimes I'll reuse like the breaking news one or the intruder one, but I try to make new ones. I'm happy they get noticed. But like a few songs, I will either play them on the keyboard or write the lyrics out, or I'll hum them or sing them, and then I'll put it in. Unless it's just something complete and utter crap, or I'm just like, I don't give a shit. No, I know you're kidding, Danny. I'm just making the point. You gave me something to talk about, that's all. You gave me something to hop up on my horse with, if you will. Up on the soapbox. Let's see. So I got Washington stuff up right now. The fire's still going. Apparently they found a penis face who was doing the arson thing. Arson suspect in custody. The guy not only started the fires, it sounds like, but he was also a felon for killing his father previously. Now, the other thing is, which I'm really kind of happy about, is that some of the other YouTubers are more still stuck on either the stuff happening overseas in Spain or still looking at the protest shit where morons are yelling at a fence for the anti-ICE stuff, because it's keeping those retards from going into the fire area and making a bigger problem, right? And that seems to be an issue coming up, is that there are people out there who care more about making their dollary dues than actually the people at the fires or anything else, right? Previously on Days of Our Lives, I could totally do that voice. So instead of these people going out there, though, and getting in the way, they're thankfully distracted. Don't have to worry. So the firefighters can go out there and do their job. They can make sure everyone's safe and get people out of there as quick as they can. Right, exactly, Danny, exactly. There was all kinds of them going out there being like, oh, I need to go get the filming. It's like, how about you go home? How about you go home before someone beats you senselessly? Like... So this is our oh, that's the burning bush. This is our winner here. Arson suspect arrested in Washington connection with the Spokane wildfires. 700 buildings destroyed. Aaron Farnassi? Farnassi? I'm going to pronounce that name so wrong. So wrong. Previously on Twitter Geographic. So the guy here, I'm guessing he's a guy. I'm guessing he identifies as him having a penis. He did a little bit of an arson. He decided that it was a good idea to crouch down, start lighting shit on fire. Oh, there's another picture of him. There's his last name. Maybe. I don't know what the hell he is. But I can tell you one thing that he is for sure I know. He's an asshole. Lo and behold, giant dick. He was in Arizona State prison before killing his father. Have I mentioned he's a straight up dick? I'm going to have to break my stream to reset my bar. Hold on. So he went out there, he started the fires. Now, people aren't sure if he started all the fires or just the one, but he's definitely probably going to get with all of them, to be honest. If I was the judge, I'll be like, huh? You, in my eyes, you did every one of them. How big is the fire, or how big of a dickhead? Well, I'm guessing he's like 5 foot tall, so at least. So a 5 foot tall penis. That's what he'd be. But he went out there, started the fires, and now over 700 people have lost their homes. And if it was up to me, you know what I would do to him, right? I like to think that the punishment should fit the crime. So can any of you guess what I would like to do? Anyone want to venture a gander? That is right. I think we should put him on a fire pyre and burn him at the stake. Yes. You could bring all the loved ones. Everyone could be watching it. Oh, we can have him hold popcorn, and as he burns, you can catch it. I don't know, Waffle, what the hell that is. Let's see. This is probably going to break my stream. You're going to see a bunch of gray boxes, and then I'll have to fix them in a second. But I got to reset the shackle bar that was on top. Here, you son of a bitch. Hold this cob of corn. Look, pop. No, man. I want him to die slowly. I want him to roast to a perfect 135. Because I feel, right? I feel that the people of Washington. Did I just totally break everything? No, nothing that wants to work. I feel the people of Washington deserve something, right? And not only do they deserve something, I feel they deserve some form of retribution. And I can't think of anything better than what in the hell? Oh my God, we hit $363 magically somehow, which never happened. I do not know what's going on in my Streamlabs. Did it just totally screw the pooch? I think it just totally screwed the pooch. Launch? No. And after December 1st. Save settings. Save successful. Okay. Launch. Yes. Don't know why it says 369. I wish we had that much money. That would be a really good day for me. All right. I'm going to kill this for now. Going to do that. So I could pop it up on the PC and screw with it and get the damn thing working. Oh, that's what I forgot to put. Bills. Bills. There we go. There we go. Now it should be all working. All right. All right, there we go. It's all working again. Cool. Use the crossbow. I don't have a crossbow. I have a very nice bow. By the way, for anyone that didn't guess yesterday what my most expensive weapon I own was, it's either, again, my bow or my H&K 45. I think those are the two most expensive weapons I own. The judge in Arizona is an accomplice? I don't know how you mean that. I don't know what you mean by that. Accomplice of what? Incompetency? Probably. Oh, look, there he is. That's him getting arrested.
Insane here was taken into custody Monday night, accused of intentionally starting the Old Trails fire, which has destroyed hundreds of homes, forcing thousands to evacuate. Spokane County Sheriff John Knowles says this man, Aaron Forrest Farinacci, is charged with first-degree arson. That's the top story we're tracking for you this morning. Thanks for joining us. I'm Sam Adams.
And I'm Kalai Chalk. The causes of the other two fires remain under investigation, but for now, all eyes are on the arrest of the accused arsonist.
Nonstop Locals' Haley Gunther live this morning from outside the Spokane County Courthouse.
Yeah, Farinacci could be before a judge as early as this afternoon, booked into the Spokane County Jail at about 8:30 last night for one felony count of first-degree arson. Here's how we got here. Here's what we know. The investigation into him began early Saturday when a witness saw a man acting suspiciously near some trees. They reported he was bending over by some grass, looked nervous, and took off. The witness giving an excellent description to law enforcement, which started this whole thing. Investigators say he was found with water waterproof matches and a lighter. By Monday evening, detectives had enough to make an arrest for arson. Let's take a look at the exact area we're talking about. The Old Trails fire broke out near Airway Heights Saturday before noon by Euclid and Old Trails Road. This is also where that neighbor saw his supposed bizarre behavior. He was contacted by police about a mile down the road, but this fire got out of control very quickly, and investigators there were prioritizing that critical work to try to keep the public safe and respond to that. But the investigation into him continued. He was taken into custody Monday evening at his home a few miles away on Elliott Drive.
As it happens in so many critical cases, it was citizens who were paying attention to their surroundings, being aware and willing to step up and say something that led to the relatively quick apprehension of Mr. Farnacci.
And this really is just the beginning. The sheriff asking anyone with information to come forward. It is important to know the photo you're looking at now, that was from his arrest given to us by the Spokane County Sheriff's Office. Other photos you've been seeing throughout this report are from his criminal history dating back to 2010 out of Arizona. He ended up pleading guilty to a manslaughter charge for fatally shooting his father. Outlets in Arizona reporting that was over an argument over some
that's what I'm
dishes.
wondering too.
He did serve prison time for that, was released in 2020, made his way here to Spokane County. And of course, that does bring us to summer of 2026 in the utter devastation that his alleged actions have caused for so many families in the region. Again, it's critical that if you know anything, if you can help in any way, you do connect with law enforcement. Sam and Kalai.
All right, Haley, and we know he'll be in court later today. You can expect that Nonstop Local will be there as well.
All right, in the meantime, let's get you out to Mount Spokane High School this morning. This is where that command center has been set up for the last several days now, addressing the wildfire. The coordinated efforts being spearheaded now by the California Interagency Team 7. This is Tom Stokesbury joining us right now. Tom, you've been a vital link for us, the community, getting educated right now and informed. What's the number one thing that you can tell viewers this morning you want to share right now on behalf of all these fire crews?
Well, the fire crews are extremely appreciative with the support the community has been giving them. The biggest thing for us right now, though, in this firefight is the Autumn Lane fire did move a couple thousand acres over the last 24 hours. And one of those biggest impacts was the fact that we had another drone incursion yesterday that forced us to land all of our aerial aircraft, which really hampered our suppression efforts. So we are moving forward, both with ground and air resources today with another full suppression strategy. We just want to remind the public, don't fly your drones. It's really hindering our suppression efforts.
And a lot of them,
in addition, we
I bet you a bunch of them are either the news or YouTubers.
Fire and the Fairview fire, which are looking good, but they still have heat in them. Both of those fires actually had a spot outside the lines yesterday, which we picked up. Our resources picked up because we had them in the right place. Both of those were about 50 feet by 50 feet, but that just goes to show you there's still active flame, active heat in these areas, and that's why we got those resources in there, still continuing to do structure protection and continuing to keep these evacuations in place due to the fact that there's still the potential there. The amount of hazmat that's in these
They're
areas
going to stick them in the head with a fire axe,
so
what we're going to see.
These areas are safe before we start to repopulate the areas.
Yeah, and Tom, I can't believe we're still talking about drones at this point. Is this a recent phenomenon? I know you've been in the California, the Palisades fire. You've been across the country. Is this unique to our area? Are you just dealing with this all the time? And why aren't people just listening and stopping with the drones?
I think this is, as technology evolves, more people are starting to use the drones. A lot of the footage is being shared on social media, people's private pages.
Told you.
We asked them not to do it. Yes, we did see a huge uptick in the Eaton and Palisade fires, including a strike on one of our tankers on the Palisade fires, which goes to show you just how dangerous it is for our firefighters in the air. We're going to land our aircraft to protect our firefighters if we have drone incursions.
Yeah, I saw those planes over the Autumn Lane fire yesterday. It's near my house, and it did seem pretty abruptly that they stopped. I was hoping that it meant that the fire had stopped growing, but that's not the case. Can you give us a number now on the Autumn Lane fire, as well as acreage for the others and structures burned?
Yeah, so all total, we're a little over 10,000 acres. The Autumn Lane fire is a little over 5,600 acres, which is a growth of about 2,200 acres over the last 24 hours. So as far as structures, we're still well over 700. We have damage inspection personnel and resources that'll be showing up throughout the day today. We're going to have them on the line tomorrow, and we're going to start getting a more accurate number on those structures.
Yeah, can you tell us just in the last 24 hours, because we've seen that 700 number for the last day or so, any structures burned in that Autumn Lane fire overnight?
Well, no, that's the good news, is that we had the right people in the right places. So we had structure protection groups, both your Type 1, your big city engines, and your Type 3, your wildland engines, and hand crews protecting those structures in the wildland urban interface, just in the event that this fire might have moved.
So
we
Spain and
definitely
France.
had the resources in the right places. So with that growth, there was no structures impacted, no additional structures impacted.
Okay, and then you just talked about the 50 by 50 foot fires that were spot fires outside the lines of those other two. Does that speak to the need to still keep those evacuations? Because we keep asking about people who think they should be able to return home at this point.
Yes, it's a testament to what we're still dealing with. It's still an active firefight. We have infrared planes flying over these fires. They're marking those hot spots. We're getting ground crews in there to what we would call search and destroy these hot spots and put them out. But even with a little bit of wind, it can throw an ember. Excuse me. And then the fuels that are so receptive because they're dry, when those embers land, they're going to take off. And we saw that yesterday on once on each of those fires. But fortunately, we definitely had the right people in the right place.
Tom Stokesbury with us right now. Tom, can you give us an idea right now, especially for those who are just joining us, what specific resources are at your disposal right now? You've made this the #1 priority in the country right now. What are you using to fan or put out these fires?
So yes, we're still the #1 priority fire in the nation. We have over 1,000, close to 1,100 firefighters here right now. Probably looking at doubling that number over the next 3 to 4 days. The resources we're using are the best of the best. We have the elite hotshots, interagency hotshots. We have 5 of those crews here. Those are our elite firefighters on the ground. We have federal and local state engines that have been trained for the wildland urban interface here. So we really have the best of the best here, and we're working together as a team.
All right, Tom, thank you so much for your time, and good luck today on those fire lines.
Thank you.
It always feels good to talk to him. He really has an idea of what their team is here to do. And I love when he says the best of the best. Yeah. It brings that kind of comfort to us, knowing that the best firefighters in the country, the best first responders in the country are here to help us.
Yeah, absolutely. In a time like this, we need all the resources we can get. And when you get the best of the best, you know you are in good hands. Meantime, this morning, of course, in an event like this, well, we need to lean on each other and our community through these wildfires. And we are accepting your donations right now. We have our phone lines open. This is specifically with Inovia and the Red Cross taking those donations. The phone number's on your screen. They'll take those phone calls until the top of the hour, 8 o'clock this morning. The number is on your screen, 509-443-1111.
And you can also make a donation online anytime using the QR code on your screen. Again, we thank you so much to all of you who have donated. $1.6 million raised so far. We'll continue to take those donations to the Red Cross and the
So last night, apparently, the commies in Madison got broken up in the autonomous zone they tried to make. They tried to block stuff off. They brought in bulldozers. They got rid of it. They're taking back the city. They let them go out there and play for a couple of days, and then people pretty much say, we had enough. They tried to, because that's supposed to be like the new BLM memorial. Mind you, this died out rather quickly. I don't know how long this was going to go for. City and state police have been on the scene at the autonomous zone to protect clearing crews who face violence. Fires are being burned, all kinds of stuff. People threaten to destroy things. So one of the reasons that this got finally taken down is the people out there were attacking like random people walking by and saying, you can't come here, you're the wrong color, blah, 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 blah. Unlike what happened before, they're not really going to say, They're not really going to let this happen anymore. So they took it down again. And it was stupid. I mean, like, no one's really buying into this anymore. Everyone kind of learned who the dude was, learned the guy was a piece of crap. And like, then they saw the video like, well, yeah, he stabbed 2 cops. And it's like, well, yeah, I think it's going to happen. Well, kumbaya, my fellow Dardian. There you go. It was in Madison, Wisconsin, the one in number 1. But they built all that crap, and within minutes it was taken down. They tried to barricade it up and didn't do anything. Again, few minutes, it was down. Cops just grabbed it, threw it away, and grabbed the people. Good morning. So that's the update of Madison
County. That's part of the Autumn Lane fire.
That stuff's pretty much over as far as I'm aware.
We just got that update. It has now grown to 5,600 acres.
Oh, crap.
2,000 acres more just in the last 24 hours. That continues to burn. Much of the Suncrest area right now being told to get set. Areas just north having to leave immediately.
Now, a reminder, shelters are still open. If you need another place to stay, the Red Cross is still welcoming people at the Spokane Convention Center, where people have been sleeping since Saturday afternoon.
Oh, hold on.
So if you have livestock, if you have
Hold
animals,
on.
you can
They're
take them to the
dismantling the
Spokane
stuff right
Interstate
now.
Fairgrounds.
And meantime, Multicare has announced that Deaconess North off Division will now reopen this morning. That's just coming up in just a few
My
minutes.
mistake.
The
It wasn't
emergency
last
department
night.
closed Saturday because of the fires, so
It's
patients
this
were moved
morning.
to Deaconess Hospital
Morning.
and Valley Hospital at that time.
They'll be opening at 8 o'clock this
Pincer
morning.
Pete will get you
As
from behind.
firefighters
Be
continue
careful.
to battle the flames, another challenge emerging for people forced to evacuate, casting their vote.
Yeah,
Today's election day.
Yeah, absolutely. And with Washington's primary election day happening right now, Spokane County is making sure displaced voters can still register and return those ballots. Spokane County Auditor Vicki Dalton telling us that displaced voters out there, if you're listening right now, you can come down to the Spokane County Elections Office or Center Place in Spokane Valley.
Yeah, I have an
between
ear
7
purifier
a.m.
going so I can
and
still do
up
my
to
show.
8 p.m. tonight. Now, if you need a replacement ballot, you can go to any Spokane City Library or County Library branch location.
Now, Dalton spoke with Nonstop Local about the ballot boxes impacted by the wildfires.
I mean,
We only
I
had
don't mind watching
one
wildfires and
ballot
commies
drop
BB.
box
I'm
that
okay
was
with
within
that.
any of the evacuation zones. And that's the box at Indian Trails Library. That box has now been emptied. It is now closed. You cannot put a ballot into it.
Dalton says no ballots in that Indian Trail Library drop box were burned.
Time is 7:44. Let's take a look at your top local news headlines for our friends in the Tri-Cities and Yakima.
Here's Nonstop Local's Colby Annabrad.
One person is behind bars facing multiple charges after a hit and run. Richmond police say the driver of a car hit multiple parked cars in an apartment building in the 1700 block of Pike Avenue. The driver took off running, leaving the car like this, trapped under a collapsed
Dear Lord.
carport. Officers took witness statements and learned the driver ran inside an apartment nearby, possibly with a gun. SWAT was called after the suspect refused to leave the apartment. Eventually, police went inside and took them into custody, then booked them into the Benton County Jail. The investigation is ongoing. For Nonstop Local, I'm Colby Annabrad.
And so many people are asking, what can I do? Well, you can give. We do want to let you know, though, they cannot take actual donations, even though people lost their homes and they don't have even clothes besides what they had on their back. We are looking to get monetary donations so that it can go to the organizations that are going to help the people who need it. That's going to go long term, but then it's also going to go to immediate needs like clothes, gas cards, and food.
And that's why we have our phone lines open right now for you. This is for the Red Cross, for the Inovia Foundation, where those donations will go to the people being impacted by the wildfires, both immediately and in the long term. Our phone lines are open right now for those donations. 509-443-1111.
We always say there is light in the darkness, and you are that light. $1.6 million given so far. We thank you so much for your generous hearts.
capital city, but over the last 2 weeks,
so this happened 3 hours ago.
To a protest
they went in there super early, got rid of these people.
At times, barricaded the streets, set up full-fledged, again, encampments to protest the police shooting of Corey Ruiz. For a while, the city of Madison and the mayor was allowing this to happen with safety around the area, but there have been warnings this week that it was time to move that encampment out of that area.
All right, everybody, come on, kids, time to go.
From the city of Madison to also do something with the memorials that have grown to the 38-year-old Corey Ruiz, a man who was trying to get away from 4 different police officers after there were reports that he had been potentially breaking into cars in the capital city. In the ensuing fight,
come on, Peckerhead,
at one point, an officer had hands on that knife. Corey Ruiz was tased by one officer, and then in the moments following that, shot by another officer and killed by that gunfire. So since then, just to get you up.
Hey, can you get the dick out of your mouth for 2 seconds and stop lying to the people? I know you look a little light in the loafers there, but let me tell you what really happened. Dickhole, who was already on multiple things of probation and felony convictions, was breaking into cars and ran from police, then stabbed 2 cops. Then when they tased him, the taser did not work, even after they shot prongs at him and dry stunned him. And then finally, they shot him. Yeah. So if you could do me a big favor, guy over there at Fox Local, and pull the bullshit out of your mouth before you go on lying to people on national television, that would really be good. That would really be good. I know your ratings are probably as low as your IQ, but that doesn't really mean that, you know, you got to go out there and lie to people, right? Just saying. Throw that one out there. We all kind of know what happened. There's footage of it. We can all just go look up the footage. Just saying.
Building throughout the day for you. And then the other question we had for so many of the people involved in the investigation is what comes next, right? We still don't have the officer's name who shot and killed Corey Ruiz. The latest we've gotten is from the Dane County District Attorney, who last Friday released a statement basically asking for patience as the investigation goes on. The Wisconsin Department of Justice's Division of Criminal Investigation is the one looking into this, and the DA says he can't make a decision whether or not to charge the officer until that investigation is complete. So that could still be some time. The protesters were not happy with that. Today, the escalation in the capital city that those encampments are being cleared out. So we will continue to follow this. Again, our crew actually on the road on the way to Madison right now. So between that and our sister station in Madison, this will be our big story of the morning. We'll keep on track of it from the newsroom for you.
All right, Carl, thank you for the update.
There is literally some commie bastards this morning doing the thing talking about how, the Michigan primaries today, the Madison encampment is under siege, and I speak to candidates about running in the 56th district of Wisconsin. So I really wish most of my audience was here, because I would think we could have some fun, but we have a very low number this morning, but just saying. Throwing that one out there. So, anyways. Yeah, I feel they should be exiled also. Deserves to be broken up. Should never have been a thing. And now a bunch of the commies are, oh my God, my poor encampment. My poor illegal encampment. Oh no, 5:20 a.m. they took it apart, by the way. 5:20 in the morning. I thought I missed it. Nope, it was really early. Do we want to see the commie stream? Oh, yeah, send in the bulldozer. That's right. Send it on in. You know, if it was me and I was a cop, I'd be dancing while I'm just chucking their shit in the garbage. I would start getting down. I would just start getting, you know, rowdy with it. The dude who's currently streaming looks like a mongoloid who's running for something. McFly, you should hit him with a rock. Wait, which fires are we talking about?
Gracie Tui is live out there this morning. Gracie, what have you learned so far and what are you seeing?
Good morning, guys. I'm here on the corner of South Few Street and Willie Street. Now, this is about as close as we can get to the scene.
Oh, man, I'm breaking this before everyone else because I'm early up in the morning.
About 5 a.m., led by the city streets division.
Boy.
Now, also on scene are some other agencies this morning, such as CDD, CARES, MPD, obviously the city streets division, MFD, and Public Works. Now, I spoke with an MPD spokesperson who said this started about 5. Like I said, about 3 fires were started, so MFD was here to help put those out. 4 people have been detained so far. There are no injuries at this time. Now, when we got here about 5:40, we heard verbal announcements over a megaphone asking the people in this area to leave. Now, like I said, we're staying out here so those operations can continue in there. Police officer I spoke with this morning asked people to avoid this area right now as many streets are blocked off. There's going to be a lot of motion throughout this morning. Now, I also did just hear from an MPD spokesperson that there are protesters surrounding the memorial back near the corner of Baldwin and Williamson Street. Like I said, we're working to confirm more information as the morning continues. For now, reporting live in Madison, I'm Gracie Tui.
Oh, man, such a great thing. I really want to go troll this dude who's trying to run for office, and he is currently like streaming. Like, is he still alive? Oh, he's still alive. I'm just going to drop the link here. I mean, he talks slower than people in Alabama, so he might not be all there, but apparently he's running for something. He's talking about the encampment was under siege. I'm not evil. I don't really want him on my stream, but I'm just showing that it exists. I saw that crack shot. Just like you guys go, they're losers. I'm not putting in there. What's going on, Damien? How are you? I'm not telling anyone to head over anywhere. I'm just saying there's a guy going out there. I don't want to be put for bullying or like brigading. You do whatever you want. I just thought the guy was being a silly bastard. I just don't really understand that he's running, I guess, for something. And that I think he says, somewhere in there he says, oh yeah. And I speak to a candidate running in the 56th district of Wisconsin, so we'll see. I'm looking for more stuff on the fire. I think he does have something mentally wrong with him. Jesus. Again, like, my only thing, I was just pointing out that, it's weird that he's, like, pro the encampment. Campbell Harris, he says. Again, I don't want you guys to go screw with them or brigade or anything weird like that. I just thought it was stupid that he was like pro about it. That's all I was doing. Oh, he's getting mad.
We have some news. I have some news about the arrest of a suspect in the start of the Old Trails fire that started on August 1st at about 10 a.m.
Top story right now this morning, a man is behind bars. He's accused of setting that fire that has devastated northwest Spokane.
Spokane County Sheriff John Knowles says this man, 37-year-old Aaron Forrest Farinacci, a convicted felon accused of killing his father in 2010, is their man, and he's in jail now for first-degree arson. He was arrested about 5 p.m. last night after authorities say he was acting suspiciously near the ignition side of the Old Trails fire when it started on Saturday.
That fire, one of 3 wildfires burning in Spokane County, together totaling more than 10,000 acres. You're looking at aerial views of the before and after images of these fires.
Now, the causes of the other 2 fires, Autumn Lane and Fairview, are under investigation, but for now, all eyes are on this arrest in the Old Trails fire. Thanks for joining us. I'm Kalai Chalk.
I'm Sam Adams. We're working to learn more about the suspect in question, but we do have new details this morning regarding that arrest and his criminal history.
Let's get to Nonstop Local's Haley Gunther. She's tracking the latest this morning from the Spokane County Courthouse.
Yeah, and this is where we do anticipate he will make his first court appearance as early as this afternoon after being booked into the Spokane County Jail on a $1 million bond. He was booked about 8:30 last night after talking with major crimes detectives, and he is facing, as you mentioned, 1 count of first-degree arson. Here's how we got here. Here's what we know, according to the sheriff's office. They say the investigation into him began early Saturday when a witness saw a man acting suspiciously near some trees and then later saw smoke billowing from that same area. You're looking at some footage from that specific spot shortly after things quickly got out of control. Investigators say Farinacci was found with waterproof matches and a lighter. By Monday evening, detectives had enough to make their arrest. Let's take a look at the exact area we're talking about here. So the Old Trails fire broke out near Airway Heights, north of Airway Heights, Saturday before noon by Euclid in Old Trails Road. This is also where that neighbor saw his supposed bizarre behavior. He was contacted by law enforcement about a mile down the road. But this thing got out of control very quickly, so they let him go. Then they had to prioritize their fire response and react to that. Bernacchi was eventually taken into custody at his home a few miles away on Elliott Drive on Monday evening. Here's Sheriff John Knowles.
The witness, a citizen, very good citizen.
Someone asked him in there what part of freedom of speech is attacking people in the street.
To pick somebody up. About 10 minutes later, as he was coming.
And there
back
are
through
multiple
the area,
videos of people being attacked in that area. What part of that is?
At that point,
What part of that is freedom of protest and speech?
According to our citizen witness, at that point, the male walked away. The citizen returned to their house. A short time later, after being at home, they saw smoke coming from what they believed was the area that they had seen the male bending down by the side of the road.
I ain't doing that, Damien.
So
That's
the Spokane
gross.
County Sheriff's Office releasing this image here. What you've seen earlier throughout the show is an image of the suspect dated back years. It's a Department of Corrections photo out of Arizona because of his crimes there. And this investigation, it's not over yet, Sam and Kalai. The sheriff is urging anybody with information to get in touch with them. If you saw something suspicious also on that Saturday, connect with those major crimes detectives. Right now, just one charge of arson, but it is possible that he could face more charges as the extent of his alleged actions still being tallied in our community by both law enforcement and grieving families.
Well, yeah, and take us back through his criminal history, because when we're comparing that arrest photo from the Spokane County Sheriff's Office with that mugshot from Arizona, it's been a while, but he did serve time for killing his dad.
Right. Yes, absolutely. So we do want to pull this up for you, kind of a timeline of his criminal history. You can see there it all started back in 2010 when he killed his father. It was a fatal shooting, and it all started, this is according to the East Valley Tribune.
Do you know his StreamYards is inside the
argument with his parents?
If you click in his description,
so
his StreamYard is there.
Shot his father, turned the gun on himself. Obviously, he did recover and then ended up doing time for that crime.
I don't know why you would ever put an open StreamYard link in your description. That's just asking for trouble. That's like, you know, poll finding it or something.
To summer of 2026, one of the most devastating things to ever happen in Spokane County.
All right, Haley, thank you. And even as that arrest has been made, these are still very active wildfires right now. Evacuation orders are still in place.
Okay, let's get a look at the map in Spokane County. Some level 3 evacuations have been downgraded to level 2. That happened yesterday afternoon, and that's the way it sits this morning. That means the areas shaded in yellow, those are now level 2.
As I said, I just wanted you guys to see an idiot.
Home, but they still need to be
I'm not going to platform him.
Also, we want to share those evacuation orders.
Especially since people in this chat are like, I hang around my car now. I'm like, oh, God.
Autumn Lane fire still burning right now, and much of the Suncrest area being told to get set to evacuate. That's highlighted in yellow right now, while areas just north had to leave immediately.
And there are still evacuation centers.
But again, real shame if that link ground up somewhere terrible. Someone should tell them it's not a good idea.
Convention Center, where hundreds of people have been sleeping since the fires broke out. Also, a reminder, you can take your animals and livestock to the Spokane Interstate Fairgrounds. And we are continuing with our Connect Center, helping collect money for people who lost everything in the Spokane complex fires.
Phone lines are open right now. You can see they're waiting for your phone call right now.
Oh yeah, it was literally
this is through the Inovia Foundation,
the Socialist Party. It was the full name was Nationalist or the National Socialist Party of German Workers, often shortened to NSDAP or Nazi. Socialist label was deliberately propaganda in the 1920s. Hitler and the party had used left-sounding rhetoric and a few platform points, profit-sharing, nationalization of trust, and land reform to compete with actual socialist and communist parties for working-class votes. Once in power, they abandoned the reverse their points. Actually, actual socialist, communism, trade unions, and social democrats were among the first groups arrested, banned, imprisoned, or murdered.
And as we've mentioned throughout the newscast, these fires continue to rage on. Fires always are fueled by July
There you
weather.
go.
We're hoping that the breezes have died down to help firefighters get a leg up.
Okay, let's go to the Weather Center with Justin Spinney. Justin, we're looking at hot spots right now. How do they look?
Yeah, still watching that autumn lane fire specifically. The good news is we're not expecting strong wind today. We'll talk about those wind speeds in a second, but our hot spots still showing us we do still have some hot areas in that autumn lane fire, primarily the eastern flank of that fire. Some very difficult terrain.
Well, except for America, and then we kicked the shit out of them, and we came up with more technology. The only thing we didn't really get was the rockets. Then we took their scientists, and now we use them. Well, until they died of old age. But
there's also power crews in that area. That's why there still are evacuations in effect.
Japan was also doing great stuff in history too with new technology. War is what propels you.
And how active it is. They're also going to be
probably some dude who we found out
as we head through the day today. A light
was lighting fires and doing arson.
What we had yesterday, sustained winds 3 to 5 miles per hour today. The wind gusts averaging around 8 to 10 miles per hour. The strongest gust could reach around 15 miles per hour as we head toward this afternoon and this evening. For the most part, the wind's coming out of the north. There's a slight wind shift today that could bring it a little bit more northeasterly, pushing from northeast down to southwest. They will be aware of that change. The fire crews will when it comes to that.
I have his audio on, but he's looking angry.
Let's take a look at all those wildfire conditions, though. It is getting hotter today. We are in the midst of a warming trend. Highs coming back up toward the mid-80s in Spokane. Dew point values, no help there. Still very low, still very dry. Dew point falling down toward the low 30s. Relative humidity will be in the low teens today for Spokane. The good piece of news, though, is that bottom line, the wind gusts. Winds are expected to be
and then once the people were free of them,
as we start to look through the rest of the week, though, by Friday and Saturday, a little bit of a breeze could pick.
Well, we know what happened to him and his family. They killed his whole bloodline.
In just a few more minutes, Sam and Kalai.
All right, Justin, thank you. Well, with the National Guard just recently being deployed by the state of Washington, the Washington National Guard, Nonstop Local was able to speak with Major General Gent Wells.
He's a Spokane native, and he says this tragedy hits close to home for many people in the Guard.
It's one of those things that we do this a lot overseas.
Again, I have his audio off. I'm just watching him flip out. It's
interesting. Local community in any way we can. I mean, a lot of us are from here. I spent a lot of my career in Spokane. A lot of these airmen are actually from the Fairchild area. So, in fact, some of these airmen lost houses. Some of them have families that are evacuated, and yet here they are on the streets of Spokane and Spokane County getting after the people's work.
Yeah, he says about 100 people and troops, I should say, are helping support these efforts.
And he did reassure Spokane that while it will take time, support is here and it will remain here.
It looks like a bomb went off. There's nothing left in a lot of these communities, nothing left in a lot of these houses. It took away a lot of Spokane's memories, and it's just a horrible sight to see. But again, I just want to make sure you and the viewers know your Washington National Guard is out here as long as we're needed.
And of course, we thank the National Guard for their support, as well as all of our first responders who have been working around the clock since this tragedy began on Saturday afternoon. Well, there are also wildfires burning in the Tri-Cities Yakima area.
With that, let's go to Nonstop Locals, Colby and Brad.
All evacuations have been lifted for the Red Sky fire as of noon yesterday after strong winds and fast-moving flames forced residents to leave over the weekend. Crews from 10 fire districts raced to contain the blaze as gusty winds pushed flames through neighborhoods. At Leisure Hill Mobile Home Park, residents had to evacuate Saturday evening, with some helping neighbors escape in the dark. Firefighters also faced difficult conditions, with helicopters battling thick smoke and strong winds. Officials confirmed 3 structures were lost, 1 home and 2 outbuildings, but no injuries were reported. The cause of the fire is still under investigation.
So it's funny they said that there's no
I'm Colby and
Still to come here on Wake Up Nonstop
that
Local.
a bunch of the commies out there saying like there's no evidence of the cop being stabbed. There was literally a report from the hospital of him being stabbed and how many stitches he got. See my face went retarded reading the guy.
Smoky conditions remain this morning. Some big impacts to air quality, unhealthy air quality for many of us. Details on that smoke, where it's headed next, and how our air quality will be affected over the next couple of days ahead.
And this morning we continue with our Connect Center, thanking so many of you who have called our newsroom, donating money to those who have lost their homes in this devastation.
Those phone lines are open right now for the next 45 minutes. The number is on your screen right now. This is 509-443-1111. This is through Innovia and the Red Cross.
You can make a donation online at any time using the QR code on your screen as well. Again, a heartfelt thank you. Neighbors helping neighbors in our community in a time of tragedy. We thank you so much for your donations.
Yeah, according to the official report on July 22nd, 2026, fatal police shooting in Madison, Wisconsin. Madison police officer was injured by a knife during the struggle with Corey Ruse, the man who was shot and killed. Police said Ruse pulled a knife, fixed blade knife, while resisting arrest after officers responded to reports involving someone checking the vehicle doors. The same officer who was injured by the knife was the one who fired the shot. The second officer was also injured in the incident. Both injured officers were treated at the hospital and later released. Like, here's what I'm saying, man. These people just make shit up. Like,
across Pennsylvania. This remains the early stages of the build-out of our fraud-fighting team, with the support of President Trump, Vice President Vance, and the White House Task Force to Eliminate Fraud.
Well, then they took all the communists, socialists, everybody else that voted for him, and they killed them.
Justice will continue expanding our reach across the country to pursue all fraud, no matter how large, no matter how small, no matter how hard. And I will conclude with this. To those taking advantage of home health funds that are so critical to allowing aging and ill Americans to live and receive care at home, your time is up. We will no longer tolerate fraud against our most vulnerable citizens and our most important health programs. And to anyone engaged in healthcare fraud of any kind, of any size, we see you, and we are doing everything we can to bring you to justice. The era of getting rich off the backs of our programs for our sick, elderly, and disabled is over. Thank you all for being here. I'll now turn the podium over to Dr. Oz. Thank you.
They call him Dr. Oz. Good morning. How are you?
The Vice President, Secretary Kennedy, and many others involved in the anti-fraud task force at the White House is beautifully organizing.
I still don't like that guy. I know other people say, but I still don't like him.
That because with using all the lever arms that the federal government has, allows us.
He said lever instead of lever. We can't trust him.
Who are dependent on Medicare and Medicaid, as you'll see during these presentations. Colin, the all-star team you put together, and there's many members on the dais, but the U.S. Attorney's Office, the Eastern District of Pennsylvania, the Northeast Strike Force, the DEA, FBI, HHS OIG, the criminal investigation units, the Pennsylvania Attorney General's Office, all these groups have come together.
That's probably why I don't like him.
States involved, and I'm speaking to that issue.
You should have got Dr. Drew. That's what I would have got.
As the administrator of CMS. Now,
if I'm going to get the TV doctor, I'm going to get a good one.
Around the country. The surge
I'd get Chubby Emu. He'd be a good one.
Programs is stunning. So shocking, we have to double check our numbers. We don't think it's possible that it's happening, but it is. In California and New York, the #1 job in the entire state is personal care services. Guess what? It's good to be home because it's true in Pennsylvania too. 50%.
I can have Eufy become my personal caregiver.
Serving in the personal care services space, that's home care, than is in retail. That's where Pennsylvanians are going. It's becoming a jobs program. Medicaid fraud in the state is costing taxpayers for care that was never delivered, or even worse, harmful. It's costing patients their health, their trust in a system that was built in a high-trust environment, a place we
I
all
didn't
thought
see daughter.
that we would
I
be
thought
able
you
to be
just say
safe 'cause
Dr.
who
Oz is a
steals from
hottie.
the
I'm like,
poor?
I know you swung that
As
way.
Colin outlined, many people unfortunately are doing just that, and we're coming after them. What we're exposing today is a diabolical breach of trust, a violation of the sacred bond between patient and caregiver. It is a catastrophe that can only be dealt with in the way we'll be outlining for the rest of this presentation. Today's defendants included an aide who billed Medicaid for care claimed to be delivered while they were in jail, or while they're being arrested, or while they weren't in the country. The list goes on and on, one more disbelievable than the next. And it's not just individuals. There's a home care agency, 2 owners who are charged with billing Medicaid hundreds of fabricated clock-ins. Again, care that was never delivered at all. And we have evidence of that. CMS's job is to make sure this money reaches the people who actually need it. That's the grandmother who desperately needs this money to stay out of a long-term care facility. It could be a vet who relies on this to get help because he's stuck in bed. All of these individuals deserve
Again,
our love
I
and
didn't want you
support,
guys to go
not the
screw with them. I
criminals
was just
who
saying
have
that.
hurt them.
Thought it was
We
funny
reviewed
that somebody was out there
Pennsylvania's
defending
personal,
it.
care billing trends. I'm going to get these numbers to you slowly because they're really important.
Naughty
This is
chat.
the federal government's
Naughty
data
bad
on
chat.
Pennsylvania.
How dare you go
ranks
do
5th
that?
nationally in average monthly
Don't you
payments,
know he's
both per
probably
beneficiary
mentally
and
unwell?
per provider. That is way out there. Be number 5 in both those categories. More expensive, that is,
someone's
in
going to yell at me.
45
You're
states.
bullying
Over
somebody. You'll be like, I didn't tell anyone to do
6%
shit.
of personal care claims here are illness unspecified. That's how they're titled. So we
You're
can't
bullying
track them.
people.
It doesn't help if the U.S. Attorney or the Attorney General can't possibly find the fraud because people aren't actually telling us what they're really doing. We have to change that history that's evolved here.
By the
into
way,
norm.
DOJ deploys
And finally, average payment per
electron
beneficiary, more than
monitors,
$50,000.
election monitors, not
Think about
electron,
that,
election
$50,000
monitors
per person
to
getting
polling sites in
home
Detroit.
care in the state on average, far above what you'd ever
The guard
expect.
against
All
election
this points
fraud
to
during the
fraud.
Michigan primaries.
Cases like these are exactly why a whole government approach is so critical and why we have to develop best practices of how to evolve this system. You're going to be hearing from Dan Brillman in a second. He runs Medicaid. He's going to touch on another problem that's a big one in Pennsylvania, which is autism care services, and why they're, again, not only are they off the chart in Pennsylvania, but the rest of the country, but we are actually here to help. We're giving you a toolkit that will allow the state to be able to tell what's good, what's not, what's foul, what's fair, so we can identify the best use of our funds. Yesterday, I was in Maine. We're investigating home support services, just like you're seeing here, for adults in that case who have autism.
Good morning, streamer.
The top 10 providers there has dramatically increased over the last 6 years. In fact, across the board, if you look at fraud in healthcare, all gone up in the last six years. What happened in 2020?
Oh, that's not good, Nikki.
This. What has allowed this corruption to be weaponized? It's COVID. COVID appears to have unleashed massive fraud through grifters because criminals knew
but aren't the people that were doing it before COVID?
Follow up on the money that was spending out.
I mean, everybody heard the joke before COVID about it.
For fraud, and they could start harpooning us with their spears. No mas, no more. We are now making it very clear this administration will not tolerate this fraud, the massive increases that have grown to the kinds of numbers you could not imagine being able to show on a clipboard, with 90% of services billed and
you know how
paid
they
for
felt about it.
in Maine in particular, where there is no justifiable backup for it. 9 out of 10 services, you can't justify they should have happened. It's the opposite of what you normally expect. We have no tolerance for anyone who invents
You know what
hours,
the number
invents a
one
disability,
thing about
invents a
libertarians
workforce
is?
at the expense of
We
people
have never
who depend
trusted
on these
anyone in the
programs.
government.
And if you love these most vulnerable Americans, you should care as well. With this all-of-government approach, no scheme is too sophisticated, no fraudster is too elusive. This all-of-government approach includes the states, which is why you have state representation here. And these kits that were crafted are going to help these states, all of them, cope with this problem. We have at CMS an additional bit of information about these problems that Killer Kim, as she's gotten to be known, is going to describe next. This is going to, I think, help dictate how we will intervene if these numbers are not addressed. Kim.
Great, thank you, Dr. Oz. What you just heard on the personal care front is only one part of this fight. CMS is going after all of it. I want to build on that with an update on one of the areas where we've made the most progress, hospice. Since President Trump took office, 1,076 hospices have been removed from the Medicare program in California alone. This represents a 47% reduction in the number of California hospices compared to the peak during the Biden administration. To put that in context, Los Angeles County alone alone had more than 1,850 hospices. So these are hospices that are no longer under review. They're not on a watch list. They are gone, thrown out of the program entirely, unable to bill Medicare, unable to touch another taxpayer dollar, unable to take advantage of another vulnerable beneficiary. And we're not stopping at California. In May, CMS put in place a nationwide moratorium on new hospice and in-home health enrollments, the broadest action CMS has ever taken in this space. It's in effect through mid-November, and we're using that time to investigate all existing facilities, dig into the data, and remove bad actors, not just process the next claim. That matters here in Pennsylvania, too. In its written response to Dr. Oz's revalidation request letter in late April, Pennsylvania stated that it is using the federal moratoriums as a reason to review its program integrity efforts. The state also indicated that it would implement a moratorium on newly enrolling hospice
Again,
providers.
even before COVID, people were still screwing over the system.
Geographically targeted moratorium is necessary for home health providers. But CMS has not yet received
I'm sorry, I'm not blaming it all on COVID. There was all kinds of dickheads before that.
Commitment and take the action needed to protect beneficiaries
A slew of dickheads. A cornucopia of cock.
California or home health here in Pennsylvania, the model is the same. Stop the bad actor before the money goes out, not chase after it years after. And that same model is exactly why we're releasing something new. Today, CMS is publishing our Medicaid Service Area Heat Map per Applied Behavioral Analysis, ABA, a first-of-its-kind national look at where ABA spending is concentrated and where it's raising red flags. Pennsylvania is one of the states where that data is most concerning. I'm now going to turn it over to our Director for Medicaid and CHIP Services, Dan Brillman, to walk you through what the heat map means and what it means for kids and families here in Pennsylvania. Over to you, Dan.
Good morning. As the leader for Medicaid and Children's Health Insurance Program, when we see problems, we come with solutions. You know, Medicaid is a safety net program, and we want it to be there to catch you now and for years to come. Stomping out fraud and corporate corruption is how we ensure it is there for you. And fraud in applied behavioral analysis, or ABA, is no exception, which is why today we're announcing an ABA toolkit to help states drive best practices and policies across the country. Now, ABA therapy is meant to give kids with autism one-on-one support. They need to build useful skills, communication, social interaction, independence, delivered through direct hands-on support intended to improve quality of life and autonomy. But here's the problem. Between 21 and 2025, Medicaid spending on ABA grew 6 times faster than the number of children actually receiving the service. Nationally, it went from $2 billion to $10 billion a year, a 420% increase. Some states saw 2,000% increases. One state has over now 45,000 ABA providers alone, about 9 times the number of pediatricians in the state. This should raise serious concerns for everyone. We know issues that we've seen on the news like Minnesota, where their billing for services exploded from $3 million in 2018 to $400 million in 2023, a surge driven by organized fraud rings providing kickbacks for parents to sign their children up. But here in Pennsylvania, the data tells a similar story. ABA services now, as Kim just talked about, carries a high risk score, growing from 144 million to 587 million between 2021 and last year, and the second highest in the nation for average monthly
tell me what
payments per
2019
provider.
was.
Here, we have had one provider who claimed to have delivered 500 hours of one-on-one ABA therapy to 2 children, 2 different locations, all at the same time. Behind every one of these families is an issue, and maybe families even like yours. There's a human cost to fraud, and incentives that reward volume instead of individualized care results in children who don't get the care that they need and families who pay the price. So today, this is the action. Every state has been asking us for help at CMS, so we're providing it. So we're launching this ABA toolkit, a set of proactive practices for Medicaid and CHIP programs to drive accountability in the program, to do the right thing to serve all children, and also to protect good providers providing good care. This toolkit's going to do 3 things. We're going to work with the states to address them. 1, individualized treatment plans that reflect children's severity and clinical justification, not maximizing hours regardless of the child's need. Now 2, integrated therapy. We should be treating the whole child, focused on integrated speech, occupational, outcome-focused therapy, not simply maximizing ABA therapy in isolation. 3rd, guardrails, things that will stop crowding out those who need it the most. Today, 75% of parents are reporting delays and wait lists. A good reason for that, $1.5 billion was spent last year on ABA for children who did not have an autism diagnosis for that care. We owe it to the families who depend on these services, to the taxpayers who fund them, and this toolkit is going to be used in partnership with states across the nation to close these loopholes without delay. So we look forward to releasing this toolkit today to the public and hope everyone ensures resources remain available for those who need it the most. I'm going to turn it over to U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Pennsylvania, David Metcalf now. Thank you.
I want to thank everyone for being here. I want to thank all of our federal and state partners for shining the light on such an important issue.
I got some bad news
and
for
that
you.
important issue is the worst theft of money
The
that
kids
has
who
taken
aren't
place
really
in this country
autistic or have
has
any other
been
real
the
learning
great fraud against
disabilities
the American
haven't
taxpayer,
been
fraud
stuck
against
in
government
learning
programs
disability
that
schools,
provide healthcare to the
and the
sick,
school's
food to the
taking money
poor,
for the last
benefits to those
40
who need
years
them, which is why
more.
we are so excited to announce
Just
our
FYI.
partnership with the National Fraud Enforcement Division and Colin McDonald, and also build on our alliance with Pennsylvania Attorney General Dave Sunday. Thank you for being here, as well as partnering with our law enforcement agencies, FBI, HHSIG, and others.
You
that
think
are
it's
so
a dog
important,
whistle?
in this
Biscuit?
space. We want to attack fraud in all of its forms. As Dr. Oz, Kim, and Dan just told you, Medicaid fraud in particular has many different forms of fraud. But we want to tackle fraud from billion-dollar corporate malfeasance from a Fortune 500 company to the smaller dollar fraud of the cases that you're going to hear about today. And the cases that we want to highlight today exemplify a much greater problem. And it's a problem that has plagued our region and our community for many years, and that is the epidemic of home care fraud in this community. And for those who aren't aware of how these schemes work, I'll give you a brief overview.
Metal
Medicaid,
your
administered
area
by the
sucks.
state, the Department of Human Services for Pennsylvania, allows
At least
a
the people
specific
there are
program
stupid.
whereby patients can
Well, except for the two arson
personal care
guys.
services
So
in the
they're
comfort
just
of their
dicks,
home
but
and get Medicaid
the
reimbursement.
drunk passed
But
out
in
guy.
practice, it has proven difficult to verify that those services are actually being provided, because ultimately anyone can be a caregiver. You can be an individual with a criminal background, no medical training or background at all, and you can be a caregiver, and the beneficiary or the client can select whoever they wish to be their aide. And so therefore, two people can easily collude to scheme this system, and once in the system, and this is the important part, it's tough to verify that the services are actually being rendered, because the caregiver or the client behind closed doors simply can tap a button on their smartphone app or call in, and that record doesn't actually establish that the person was actually there or providing health care services. And the result is what you see on that chart over there, which is since the Pennsylvania Department of Human Services established this program in 2018, $120 million billed in Pennsylvania home care services in 2019. 2020, $2 billion. 2025, $8 billion. This is not the reflection of supply and demand. It is a reflection of the systematic exploitation of a vulnerable program by fraudsters and, as we allege, sometimes drug dealers. I want to tell you about these cases with two qualifications. First, all the credit goes to the prosecutors and agents. It was their hard work, their brains, their sweat that built these cases. That's why we're here today. And number two, as shocking as these allegations are, at this stage they are indeed
That's gonna be
only
the new thing, Metal.
allegations.
I'm gonna
Every
think
defendant is
EBT.
presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. But they are shocking allegations.
Here's my
Across
EBT
these cases,
donation.
we have home care services billed that were not rendered by aides that were dead, that were in prison, that were selling drugs.
Oh,
aides
damn.
who billed over 24 hours a day repeatedly for a year. Aides who billed halfway around the world in Saudi Arabia. Aides who were billing while jet setting across the Caribbean and Europe. And I want to highlight two cases our office charged today.
Again, I'm going to make you fee my aid.
Two defendants, Sean Murray and Charles Bowie, in related cases. Sean Murray has already been separately indicted by our office as a federal narcotic trafficker. He is in the prison behind me right now as a federal drug trafficker. And we allege that in addition to selling cocaine, he was ripping
No, he
off
just has
Medicaid
AIDS, I think.
by fraudulent home care services that were not actually rendered. Instead, he was at the gym, he was at the massage parlor, he was on a
he getting
cruise,
happy ending.
and at worst, he was packaging narcotics to run his drug trafficking operation.
From the happy
in a
ending
jail
shop.
call that was recorded in August 2024, Sean Murray boasted about how easy of a racket it was. He said, "This home health care is the best kept secret." This scheme also illustrates, unfortunately, that too
It wasn't
often
kept a very
the
good secret,
clients
was it?
and the beneficiaries are in on this scheme. In this case, we allege that Murray paid kickback to his clients to go
decided
along
to kick you out.
with
They
the
say you
scheme.
did not shower
We
before.
allege $400,000 in total billings. The last case I want to tell you about involves a company called Benevolent Home Health and its two founders.
They caught
Khalil
one of the
Williams and Selima
arsonists.
Davis,
Now they got to
both
catch
from
the other ones.
Philadelphia.
The other guy's up there in
And
number
we allege that this
2.
case actually originated from a DEA investigation in the drug trafficking activities of Miss Williams' husband. When DEA agents raided his house, while he was being arrested, he said, "Hold on, I need to clock out of my shift." And when the agents asked what he meant by that, he said, "Everybody is doing this. If that's a problem, you'd have to arrest the whole city." That is shocking, and it illustrates the extent of the problem that we're dealing with here. Everybody is doing this.
$1 million
It
bond,
gets
has a
worse.
record,
After
and it's
when Miss
federal
Williams' husband was sent to
charges
prison,
too.
the billing
Like
for
he's
his
in
home care
big
services
boy jail
continued.
prison.
While this man was in the prison behind me, the company and Miss Williams billed him for home care services. A federally charged narcotics trafficker, literally sitting behind bars in the federal detention center, was still being billed for home care services.
Good,
This
Metal.
was after, mind you, that Miss Williams and Miss Davis.
I wonder if you
were
beat the
billing
guy with a
services while he was
sledgehammer, you know, if they would have an
conducting
issue.
his narcotics trafficking operation, packaging, selling, distributing drugs. And it gets worse. Miss Williams and Miss Davis also billed for an aide that was dead. 600 clock-ins in a year, to the tune of a total
Damn,
of
that guy's working for Beyond the
$225,000
Grave.
in Medicaid billings. In short, we are being ripped off. These cases and these defendants make a mockery of your tax dollars, but it ends today. If everybody is doing it, it takes everyone to stop it, which is why I'm so pleased to see everybody here today from our federal and state partners, because this is going to take the total force of the United States government and our state partners to combat this problem, and we look forward to doing so. Thank you.
Good morning and thank you, Attorney Metcalf. It's been an absolute pleasure getting to know you and an honor to partner with you and your office. We've seen great progress
Chat,
here
can we
in
get me a full
Pennsylvania
tank of
in
gas
building
today, please?
Medicaid-related criminal
That's the
cases
goal.
and resulting
Full tank of gas.
prosecutions of those who have defrauded and steal from the system, and those who neglect and abuse patients that are dependent on that care. And before I go into the details about some of these cases, I want to remind people of two things. Number one, these cases aren't just financial crimes. These are cases that directly impact the health and safety of people in our community, especially through the neglect cases where care should be given and people are being paid to provide care, and then the care is not given. And we actually have had cases in the not too distant past where people have died as a result of not receiving those medications. I'd also like to say that, oftentimes as the Attorney General and as leaders, we get to stand here and have this conversation with you, but I want to make sure that we identify and thank and acknowledge all of the hardworking agents and all the hardworking prosecutors that work relentlessly on these unbelievably challenging and complex cases. And so for all of them that can't stand up here today, I want them to know that they are appreciated and they're respected, and we're grateful for your hard work. So last year, Pennsylvania led the nation in Medicaid fraud convictions. And the year prior to that, we led the nation in the number of defendants charged with Medicaid fraud. A lot of that work happens right here in Philadelphia, the Commonwealth's largest metropolitan area. But no great progress ever happens in a silo. The Pennsylvania Medicaid Fraud Control Unit, housed in my office, receives 75% of its funding from the United States Department of Health and Human
Crackshot looked in
Services. About
2019.
$13.5 million for this current
I wonder how much fraud they found
fiscal
then.
year.
Just curious.
And for that, we are absolutely beyond grateful, because if it was not for that assistance, the Medicaid Fraud Control Section here in Pennsylvania would not be doing the amazing things that it is doing. And again, we are beyond grateful for that support. These cases involve meticulous investigation, requiring a lot of resources, personnel, and a tremendous amount of work hours, and collaboration with our federal, state, and local partners. Literally, none of this could get done without teamwork, without working together and collaborating, and that is exactly what you are seeing here today. The array of conduct and bad actors is wide-ranging. Some of this conduct involves very sophisticated schemes and planning, and there are other cases where we have the same clear patterns of theft and fraud, but those schemes are not anywhere near as expertly disguised. All the cases involve intensive investigations and investigative work to build criminal cases strong enough to reach convictions. It is, I want to say that again, to reach convictions, because it is absolutely crucial that we reach convictions in these cases, because the only way that we can hold people accountable is through convicting them of these charges.
I'm drawing the blank biscuit.
Sending a message.
You got to remind me, buddy. I don't remember off the top of my head.
Make far
that
less
one.
money
Fred
going
Durst?
into this
I
than they
don't
think, and that they will definitely be convicted and go to jail. So there is a great commitment and passion required from the agents, the attorneys, and the support staff working on these cases. Last year in Pennsylvania, we had convictions against 115 defendants. Those convictions involved the recovery of about $41 million that was stolen from the state Medicaid program. That is $41 million that should have gone to the underserved individuals and families that rely on that help. Last year, it just so happens that we filed charges against 115 defendants. The partners before me have articulated this very, very well, but let me reinforce the message. Medicaid fraud is deeply
That rings a bell. I have to go look it up, though, but that does ring a bell.
This is not about someone merely working
I don't want to lie and say, oh, yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Programs causes direct harm to someone who needs care and cannot afford it. And we have seen many dollars stolen through this pipeline. Again, in the Pennsylvania Attorney General's office, we don't look at these cases as just being financial crimes. We view these cases and investigations as a public safety issue, and that is very, very important. When you have millions of dollars stolen from the pipeline, the impact is massive. Take the Ashley Griffin case as a prime example. Our office just charged Ashley Griffin, a personal care attendant for 13 different agencies in Philadelphia and the Collier counties. I have to tell you, Ashley is quite the magician. Our investigation discovered an alleged 3.5-year scope of criminal conduct. In those 3.5 years, let me tell you, Ashley Griffin had some extremely productive days. According to her reimbursement
oxygen.
submissions,
I
Ashley
have
worked more
a
than
tack
24 hours in a single day,
Triton?
more than
Triton?
1,000 times. I say that again.
Just
she
those
worked
two.
more than 24 hours in a single day, more than 1,000 times. And for one day, she submitted 126 hours of work. In all, we counted, compiled, and compared, and found that Ashley submitted more than 64,000 hours of work for services that she absolutely could not have possibly done. Those fraudulent entries led to Medicaid payments of more than $1.2 million. We allege that Sherelle Johnson engaged in a similarly blatant defrauding of the system. She submitted more than 24 single-day hours of reimbursements on nearly 400 separate days. Again, these might be half comical if they weren't unbelievably serious criminal acts causing a tremendous amount of harm. I emphasize, as always, that these are alleged acts, and the charged defendants will have their day in court. Pamela Greer, over a 6-month period, she allegedly submitted more than 1,300 work hours regarding home care for a recipient that we determined was incarcerated on drug charges at the time. So this individual that she said she was doing care for was incarcerated in prison on drug charges during the entirety of that situation. And then there was the Comfort Zone home health care case. We're in the final stages of prosecuting nearly 2 dozen defendants from that Montgomery County-based case. From the owner of Comfort Zone all the way down the chain, more than $1.76 million in Medicaid fraud was uncovered. Leon Montgomery, the owner's son, recently pleaded guilty. We looked at $270,000 in Medicaid submissions from Montgomery, and we determined that he was actually in Saudi Arabia when much of that work allegedly took place.
Yes,
Again, these
big
cases
red.
are
Yes.
not easy to assemble,
I look
charge,
at other
and prosecute.
streamers who are making like
They
6
take
figures
time and
and
commitment.
have no idea what the hell's
We
going
in
on.
Pennsylvania
I'm
have
just
that
like,
commitment.
I bet you
We
that's the
have
type
the
of
team who
fraud.
wants to do the work, and we are blessed to have the support at the federal level, which is the fuel that keeps this machine running. To my federal partners, I say thank you for all of your support. I know that we are all just getting started, and I would lastly like to remind everyone again that may be watching this that this is more than a financial crime. This is a very dangerous public safety issue, and a lot of people who should be receiving help are not receiving it because of this. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney General, for those thoughtful words.
I'm just trying to make enough today to fill my truck's gas tank.
Where the Inspector General's office fits into this very important team effort, and then step back a little bit. You've heard a lot of very granular, highly accurate details about how this work is done. But before I do that, I want to talk about Secretary Kennedy and Dr. Oz for a couple of sentences. These are two gentlemen who have decided to spend their lives improving American health care. That's what they care about. That's their heart. I think Dr. Oz probably spent 10 years learning to transplant hearts. And they're still doing that work. That work continues to go on. We're continuing to improve health care, access to health care, new technologies, new inventions. But this fraud has been an interruption to that effort. So Dr. Oz and the Secretary now
Does
have
anyone
two
remember
jobs.
the taxation without
Improve American
representation
healthcare for
thing?
everyone and fight fraud.
That must have been really
So,
cool.
we want to emphasize that work is close to our hearts and very important. Now, the Inspector General's office is little known to most people. And I'll just give you a few fun facts, if I could. We have about 1,450 employees. 100 of those employees do data analytics. 6 million transactions a day go through Health and Human Services. Somebody has to look at those and write programs using types of AI that I don't know anything about. And find out where the anomalies are.
Well, at least he's honest.
So when somebody's billing for more hours than are possible, that might first appear in a database at the state level or at the federal level. They catch that, they move it over to the investigators, of which we have over 400. They start a case. They include the FBI, IRS, Homeland Security, and our other partners and investigate the case. We also have people that do audits of these programs. We figured out in advance that something was amiss in a lot of the autism programs in many states. That comes back, and again, it goes to the investigators. Data analytics goes to work, and you find out that there couldn't possibly be that many children in these autism programs. As you may remember, in one state, Minnesota, they had $1 million spent on autism services for children, and 5 years later, they were spending $343 million. A statistic that we don't get tired of repeating. So the Inspector General has the ability to send out subpoenas, do data analytics.
Don't touch my subpoena.
Shoe leather work, undercover work, anything that other law enforcement agents do. So I too want to thank the law enforcement people who are here. The long nights or days alone with a computer screen, looking at a spreadsheet, looking at timesheets, looking at records, writing subpoenas, doing search warrants, doing shoe leather work. They are one of the real heroes of today. Now, on the atmospheric side, you've heard a lot of details, but let's step back for just a minute and think for a minute about where we are. This is, after all, Philadelphia. A few blocks from here, one of the great documents of Western civilization was written 250 years ago. It is the theme that we all remember when we care about what's going on in our communities and our government: life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. But there's another important value that came from another organization 170 years ago, the CHOP, founded by a doctor, Anglican parishioner, who said, I don't like what's going on with my neighbors. The mortality rate is too high. So he starts a hospital. Now think about some of the hospitals in our region. Mercy Medical, the name of that hospital. Cedar-Sinai, And don't ever forget that a group of nuns sitting over a wooden table and a bowl of soup came up with the idea for the Mayo Clinic. So these are core values that come from the idea of treating your neighbor the way you would like to be treated. So these two values, Declaration of Independence and treating neighbors with love, means that the infirm, the elderly, the disabled, widows and orphans are cared for. The least of these are not left out. Consider with me just for a second what it means that that's under attack. Who steals from these people? What kind of person steals from these people? Not the people who care about the values of the Declaration or about caring for their neighbors. They care only about themselves. And they don't care, as the Attorney General very articulately said, they don't care about what's going on with the poor or the infirm or the disabled or the children or the widows or the orphans. But I know the people in this room do, and I know that's their values. I just want to thank the rest of the partners here. It's always difficult to speak nearly last when you have all the details, but this is a civilizational challenge. People are demoralized in our country about health care. People are working to improve it, but until we get control of this fraud, if you think back 2 or 3 years what the Government Accounting Office said, take a look around the room. 1 in 5 of us was working all year to pay our taxes, and they were being stolen. 1 in 5. That's how much the GAO estimates we're losing in these programs to fraud. And this is a group that says
I think it's a lot higher than that, to be honest.
I like to know Moss. And I also like Dr. Oz's quote. He didn't use it today, but he often uses it, that if we took the fraud out of Medicare and Medicaid alone, we'd extend those trust funds 5 years. That's caring for your neighbors. That's making sure life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness applies to everyone. So thanks again to the shoe leather, the late nights with the screen, the spreadsheets of the agents, and also the kind comments of the Attorney General. My office funds and certifies 50 Medicaid fraud control units around the nation. Pennsylvania's in the very upper echelon, and one of the ones we ask others to look at. We've got a handful of very non-productive ones we're working with very closely to get them up to speed. But I want to thank the Medicaid Fraud Control Unit, which has some very hardworking people, but leadership matters. I thank the Attorney General for his leadership in that area. I also want to introduce you to Brad, my good friend, Scott Brady. His name is not Brad, Scott Brady, who we had at HHS and was stolen away from us by the President's Fraud Task Force.
Thank you, March. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today. I'll keep my remarks brief. I want to really everyone to focus on the great work of the Department of Justice and the state Attorney General. As March said, my name's Scott Brady. I'm the Executive Director of the White House Anti-Fraud Task Force. In President Trump's first administration, I was the U.S. Attorney for Western Pennsylvania, so it is good to be home, as Dr. Oz said. Today is about accountability. Today is about bringing fraudsters to justice. And today is about making Pennsylvania safer than it was yesterday. As you've heard, during the previous administration, we witnessed an explosion of fraud across the United States. And this fraud crisis impacted virtually every federal government service in every state in the union. And what we have witnessed truly shocks the conscience. From the Leering Center in Minnesota, to fake hospices in Los Angeles, to here in Philadelphia, a fraudster running a home health care business from that prison, billing for services never provided, stealing your tax dollars, stealing from the poorest and most vulnerable of our citizens. In response to this crisis of fraud, President Trump and Vice President Vance have launched the most comprehensive, most aggressive war on fraud in American history. Under Vice President Vance's leadership, the Anti-Fraud Task Force leads 15 federal agencies in an all-of-government strategy. And President Trump's mandate to us is clear. He wants us to stop fraud by first preventing money from going out the door, and second, thanks to Colin McDonald and the Department of Justice, he wants fraudsters put in jail. Full stop. Today, two of the task force's most important partners, the Department of Justice and the Department of Health and Human Services, are delivering justice to fraudsters. I want to thank Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche, AAG Colin McDonald, HHS Secretary Robert Kennedy, and CMS Administrator Oz for their tireless leadership. I also want to recognize U.S. Attorney David Metcalf and Pennsylvania Attorney General Dave Sunday for their leadership in fighting fraud and keeping Pennsylvania safe, even while other Pennsylvania leaders look the other way and do nothing. Fraud is not a victimless crime. Fraudsters steal from all of us, and real people get hurt, as you've heard. Our families, our friends, our neighbors, these are the people we are fighting to protect. For me as a Pennsylvanian, as a Pittsburgher, this fight's personal. I was raised by a single mother in a small apartment in inner city Pittsburgh. As a young boy, Mom and I moved to a small steel town outside of Pittsburgh, where during the 80s, we had the highest unemployment rate in the entire United States. As the mills shut down, 40% of our town was unemployed. My family, every one of my friends' families, received unemployment benefits and government cheese and butter until we got back on our feet.
Ukraine at one point was like one of the most
America
corrupt
is the most
countries in the
generous
world.
Nation
I don't know about
in
now.
the world. Hardworking Americans turn over trillions of their hard-earned dollars to fund our benefits programs, and they do it to help their friends and family and neighbors through hard times. And they do it because they rightly expect that if they fall on hard times, those programs will be there for them as well. If we don't stop this fraud, these programs won't survive. American citizens will suffer, and this is not a partisan issue. No matter what your politics are, if you care about Medicaid, if you care about Medicare and other benefit programs, you should support fighting fraud with everything you have, as we do
Poor
with
decisions
everything
in
that we
life
have.
and no contraception?
Under the Vice President's leadership, the task force
That'd
is
be my
working
guess.
incredibly hard every single day to fight fraud in every agency, to stop fraud before it happens, and to find, arrest, and prosecute fraudsters. We've already stopped tens of billions of dollars in fraud, and we've already indicted and convicted hundreds of fraudsters. And as you've heard, we are just getting started. Let me be clear. If you steal from hardworking Americans, if you steal from our fellow Pennsylvanians, your days are numbered. We are coming for you. This fight is personal, and we will never stop. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. We'll take a couple of questions now. Yes, sir.
They're dealing drugs out of prison. How are they getting a cell phone or something to clock in and out of in the prison?
Jamming up their ass
So I
and
think you're
come in
referring to
with
one
it.
of the charged cases, and I won't get specifically into the allegations of that case, given
Well,
the
you see, the
open
human
nature of
aness
that
can
current
hold this much
prosecution.
material,
But
and the new
speaking
cell phones are
generally,
this big.
What these schemes involve are individuals who are not where they say that they are, and who are in a conspiracy with someone else away from their location, where they can work together to then exploit this program. As U.S. Attorney Metcalf said, once these individuals are inside
Now, the
these
average
programs,
human
it's
anus
very
could hold
hard
2
to be able to
raccoons.
determine whether or not the home care services are in fact provided. And so that's why someone from even prison would be able to be in a conspiracy with someone outside of prison to keep billing, to pretend as though they're in a different place at home providing care to an adult relative.
Can I add something? So in that case,
That's right. That's what I'm
in
saying.
that case,
If
the
it 2
person
raccoons.
in prison was being billed by a co-conspirator. The person themselves was not billing it. So take Ms. Williams' husband in that prison behind me was being billed by Ms. Williams while he was in prison. The allegation in that case is not that he had a cell phone billing in prison. Just to clarify.
And what are we looking at with those pictures there?
So I'll start from there. That's the chart I described in terms of Pennsylvania Medicaid spending. The first quote is from Sean Murray in a recorded jail call in August 2024, bragging about how much of a racket home health care aid is. The second quote is from Ms. Williams' husband when he was arrested for drug trafficking, explaining the prevalence of home care fraud, that everybody is doing it. The pictures themselves, I'm going to go from the top to the bottom. The top are from the social media accounts from Sean Murray that show him posting in various locations around the globe while billing home care services. From the bottom, these are surveillance photos taken by federal agents while
rifles and
Mr.
shotguns.
Murray was billing home care services, but we allege was in reality trafficking drugs.
Are all of these cases connected to that same agency, the Comfort Zone Home Health Care LLC, or are they a variety of agencies?
These cases kind of span the spectrum of different actors and different entities that are involved, but all of them are connected by that common theme of exploiting this home health care program. Yes, sir.
Just a quick question.
Does that include the AR pistols?
Dr. Oz, what efforts are being made to make sure that legitimate home health
Right,
care providers and their patients aren't getting perhaps caught up in this intense drag-out scrutiny?
Our biggest allies in cleaning up fraud are the legitimate providers. Kim Brandt mentioned hospice care. We've taken out almost half of the hospice centers in the entire state of California. Almost nobody has complained. We've gotten a couple AI-generated notes. The people who told on them were the other half of providers that actually are legitimate. We've asked the state of Pennsylvania, we've asked all 50 states, and this was with the support of the White House, to revalidate their home care providers. Remember, we're talking about unlicensed individuals in an unmonitored setting. How do these guys enforce those rules? So we've asked the states to go back and tell us, what does it mean to be a home care provider? And then tell us, because of your own rules, whether your providers have done that or not. The state of Minnesota, when they did this, less than half of the providers
They call him
in these
Shitty
areas were
Raccoon.
legitimately, by their own rules, eligible to provide these services. When they say everyone does it, that's the pathology. Like, what is going on in Pennsylvania? The reason we have federal law enforcement here, representatives from the federal government, is because we are concerned. We're concerned about a lot of states. But this is personal, obviously, for me, because I'm from the states. Dan Brillman is, Scott, a bunch of us are. Obviously, people who work here are. So what is going on in our state? How can we be top 5 spenders in the amount of money in home care for individuals and providers? Like, we're overpaying people doing the work, and more of them than really legitimately could be doing the work. And then we're also paying too much per person. So we think there's a easy way of threading this massive hole in the needle, which is cut out the fraudsters, which again, mathematically could be a lot of them because everyone's doing it, and other states have given us a clue that it's a problem. You know who we help? We help the American people.
Oz, calm down. You're going to have a heart
But
attack.
we also help the legitimate, appropriate providers.
Howdy.
Because they're not just stealing money. These fraudsters are stealing our trust. And that's a much more difficult thing to replace.
Yes, sir.
Question about electronic visit verification. That is supposed to make sure people are getting paid for being at work. So is the idea that you have the person who's the recipient, the beneficiary, is the one who's doing the verification, even if the person is in Saudi Arabia? And how does someone who's billing 13 different agencies, they have to do the EVV, right, for all those visits? How does that work?
So there was a federal statute passed in 2020 to try to address this problem. I'm here to tell you that it has not worked, because ultimately all it takes is, if you have this smartphone app, is to tap a button, and if you don't have location services enabled, it doesn't necessarily track your location. But you can also, more importantly, this is what the fraudsters did in this case, you can call in, and the address it comes back to is the registered address on file. It's not where you were, and that's what many of the fraudsters did in this case. So the EVV was not sufficient to prevent people from scheming the system.
What happened to you?
And to establish they were actually there.
Sick?
One more question. Unless there are none, thank you all.
Can I ask a quick one?
Yeah, one question.
I know that you talked about the dramatic increase in home care providers and how there's skepticism of how they're all legitimate. California has argued that they have just ramped up their programs dramatically in the last couple of years because they've been encouraged by the federal government and since COVID to keep people out of nursing homes. Is that playing a role? And, you know, what share of that could be contributing? And could that be true here in Pennsylvania?
We don't believe that's a true statement. We've compared states. This is one thing we have to do at the federal level is give all the states, give all the governors the data on all the other states. And if you look at Texas versus California, they're plausible comparisons. They're not seeing the same kind of increase hours. It's not just providers. They're providing the average beneficiary twice as many hours of support in California as in Texas. I mean, they're all human beings. They should be relatively the same. They're also paying more than twice as much per hour for the people working in these areas in California as in Texas. I think there's a bigger problem here. And this is not fraud, waste, and abuse by itself. This is corruption on the underlying system. When you corrupt the practices that rat out the foundation of the boat that we're all in together, and we start taking on water, we can start pointing fingers. But when everyone is doing it, which is maybe the most important quote from this press conference, not said by any of us up here, that's a real pathology. Because then if you're not part of the corrupt system, you're a fool. When I'm lying to you, and you know I'm lying to you, and I know that you know that I'm lying to you, and on and on and on, that's how countries collapse.
Thank you all.
You've done a lot of work on the EVP.
I'm not going to lie. I turned off my brain for most of that.
The witness, a citizen, very good citizen, noticed a male standing on the side of the road looking into the trees as he was going to pick somebody up. About 10 minutes later, as he was coming back through the area, he noticed the male was bending down near some grass. At that point, the male stood up and looked very nervous, according to our citizen witness. At that point, the male walked away. The citizen returned to their house. A short time later, after being at home, they saw smoke coming from what they believed was the area that they had seen the male bending down by the side of the road.
So the Spokane County Sheriff's Office releasing this image here. What you've seen earlier throughout the show is an image of the suspect dated back years. It's a Department of Corrections photo out of Arizona because of his crimes there. And this investigation, it's not over yet, Sam and Kalai. The sheriff is urging anybody with information to get in touch with them. If you saw something suspicious also on that Saturday, connect with those major crimes detectives. Right now, just one charge of arson, but it is possible that he could face more charges as the extent of his alleged actions still being tallied in our community by both law enforcement and grieving families.
Well, yeah, and take us back through his criminal history, because when we're comparing that arrest photo from the Spokane County Sheriff's Office with that mugshot from Arizona, it's been a while, but he did serve time for killing his dad.
Right. Yes, absolutely. So we do want to pull this up for you, kind of a timeline of his criminal history. You can see there it all started back in
Such a great man to live in the
2010
country.
when he killed his father. It was a fatal
Let
shooting.
out of prison. Sorry.
And it all started, this is according to the East Valley Tribune, that violent incident all started after an argument with his parents about doing the dishes. So he fatally shot his father, turned the gun on himself. Obviously, he did recover and then ended up doing time for that crime. He pleaded guilty to a charge of manslaughter, which of course does make him a convicted felon. Was out of prison by 2010, and it brings us here to summer of 2026, one of the most devastating things to ever happen in Spokane County.
All right, Haley, thank you. And even as that arrest has been made, these are still very active wildfires right now. Evacuation orders are still in place.
Okay, let's get a look at the map in Spokane County. Some level 3 evacuations have been downgraded to level 2. That happened yesterday afternoon, and that's the way it sits this morning. That means the areas shaded in yellow, those are now level 2. That means people can return home, but they still need to be ready to leave at a moment's notice.
Also, we want to share those evacuation orders from Stevens County. County. Remember, that's right next to Spokane County, where a portion of that Autumn Lane fire is
Just
still
out
burning
running
right now.
around.
Much of the Suncrest area being
Destroying
told to
700
get set
people's
to
homes.
evacuate. That's highlighted in yellow right now, while areas just north had to leave immediately.
And there are still evacuation centers open for people who need another place to stay. A reminder that the Red Cross is open at the Spokane Convention Center, where hundreds of people have been sleeping since the fires broke out. Also, a reminder you can take your animals and livestock to the Spokane Interstate Fairgrounds. And we are continuing with our Connect Center, helping collect money for people who lost everything in the Spokane complex fires.
Phone lines are open right now. You can see
Something
they're
seems
waiting
weird.
for your phone call right now. They are ready for you, folks. This is through the Inovia Foundation and the Red Cross. Our friends at Washington Trust standing by, ready to take those phone call donations. The number on your screen, that's 509-443-1111. We want to thank you so much, because so far through these efforts, $1.6 million have been raised so far. This is for relief efforts for those families being impacted by the wildfires here in the immediate need and in the long run. If you cannot make that phone call today, the QR code on your screen, we'll keep that out there for you throughout the show this morning. You can scan that QR code. We'll get you a donation link. Thank you in advance for your consideration.
And as we've mentioned throughout the newscast, these fires continue to rage on. Fires always are fueled by weather, and we're hoping that the breezes have died down to help firefighters get a leg up.
Okay, let's go to the Weather Center with Justin Spinney. Justin, we're looking at hot spots right now. How do they look?
Yeah, still watching that Autumn Lane fire specifically. The good news is we're not expecting strong wind today. We'll talk about those wind speeds in a second, but our hot spots still showing us we do still have some hot areas in that Autumn Lane fire, primarily the eastern flank of that fire. Some very difficult terrain for fire crews up into that area of the Autumn Lane fire. We aren't seeing hot spots from infrared satellite on the Old Trails or Fairview fire. That doesn't mean there aren't hot spots. There are still fire crews actively working that area right now, actively working those fires. There's also power crews in that area. That's why there still are evacuations in effect. You can also see where Incident Command is on the screen there at Mount Spokane, as they are currently having their morning briefing right now, getting the information, especially on that Autumn Lane fire and how active it is. They're also going to be told some good news when it comes to the wind. It's expected to stay fairly light as we head through the day today. A light breeze at the most, similar to what we had yesterday. Sustained winds 3 to 5 miles per hour today. The wind gusts averaging around 8 to 10 miles per hour. The strongest gust could reach around 15 miles per hour as we head toward this afternoon and this evening. For the most part, the wind's coming out of the north. There's a slight wind shift today that could bring it a little bit more northeasterly, pushing from northeast down to southwest. They will be aware of that change. The fire crews will when it comes to that active fire fight. Let's take a look at all those wildfire conditions, though it is getting hotter today. We are in the midst of a warming trend. Highs coming back up toward the mid-80s in Spokane. Dew point values, no help there. Still very low, still very dry. Dew point falling down toward the low 30s. Relative humidity will be in the low teens today for Spokane. The good piece of news, though, is that bottom line, the wind gusts. Winds are expected to be light today, even less than a breeze.
Maybe it was a half
through the rest of the week, though, by Friday and Saturday, a little bit of a breeze could pick back up again. We'll talk more about why.
That's Madison live over there, number one.
In just a few more minutes, Sam and Kalai.
All right, Justin, thank you. Well, with the National Guard just recently being deployed by the state of Washington, the Washington National Guard, Nonstop Local was able to speak with Major General Gent Wells.
He's a Spokane native, and he says this tragedy hits close to home for many people in the Guard.
It's one of those things that we do this a lot overseas, and it's really our opportunity here to give back to the local community in any way we can. I mean, a lot of us are from here. I spent a lot of my career in Spokane. A lot of these airmen are actually from the Fairchild area. So, in fact, some of these airmen lost houses. Some of them have families that are evacuated, and yet here they
Maybe
are
he did those too.
on the streets of Spokane and Spokane County.
Let them move. Let them
after
move.
the people's work.
Well, I'll tell you right now, they're probably going to hit them with all of them.
Troops, I should say, are helping support these efforts.
And he did reassure Spokane that while it will take time, support is here and it will remain here.
It looks like a bomb went off. There's nothing left in a lot of these communities, nothing left in a lot of these houses. It took away a lot of Spokane's memories, and it's just a horrible sight to see. But again, I just want to make sure you and the viewers know your Washington National Guard is out here as long as we're needed.
And of course, we thank the National Guard for their support, as well as all of our first responders who have been working around the clock since this tragedy began on Saturday afternoon. Well, there are also wildfires burning in the Tri-Cities Yakima area.
With that, let's go to Nonstop Locals, Colby and Brad.
All evacuations have been lifted for the Red Sky fire as of noon yesterday after strong winds and fast-moving flames forced residents to leave over the weekend. Crews from 10 fire districts raced to contain the blaze as gusty winds pushed flames through neighborhoods. At Leisure Hill Mobile Home Park, residents had to evacuate Saturday evening, with some helping neighbors escape in the dark. Firefighters also faced difficult conditions, with helicopters battling thick smoke and strong winds. Officials confirmed 3 structures were lost, 1 home and 2 outbuildings, but no injuries were reported. The cause of the fire is still under investigation. For Nonstop Local, I'm Colby Brad.
Still to come here on Wake Up Nonstop Local. Still standing, the Marine in the Indian Trail neighborhood who's...
Somebody called up and was like, hey, there's some dude here leaning down, lighting shit on fire. So the cops went out there and picked him up. And he's like, zip zap, zippity doo. I don't know what he said. I don't know if he admitted to it or not. No clue. Wouldn't surprise me though if he did and he's just nuts. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So. Madison again today, they tore down the commie encampment. They said, it's enough of this bullshit. We're done. We're done here. Upon doing that, the commies are now coming out being upset. Why did you take down our memorial? I don't know what it was. It was in the middle of a cross section of street. Like, yeah, you guys are breaking into buildings and assaulting people, and you can't really be having it. Well, right. That happens a lot with people where they will go out there and be like, all right, well, we have enough evidence to pick you up, but, don't go leaving. And they eventually get more evidence and pick the guy up, right? Well, yeah, he said so what they repeated on the news was, we heard a couple times now, is that I saw him bend over and acting suspicious, and he looked like he was lighting something on fire. And so the cops, again, showed up and then interviewed the guy, and, then they said, like, hey, bozo, were you out there lighting shit on fire? And he's like, oh, of course not. Oh, okay. And then they then they started an investigation, then they arrested him. That's the long and short of it.
They're learning about the mental state of a Massachusetts mom accused of killing her 3 young children back in 2020.
Well, that's absolutely horrendous. I don't really want to listen to that. Do we really want to listen to a poor woman crazy killing her family? Yeah. 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 Poor innocent soul out here. Real story of woe. Overlap the highway roads compared to the fire plumage spread. This is concerning to me. My uncle lost his home to the total non-Antifa related 2020 Southern Oregon fire. Still pissed about that. I don't blame you for being pissed. I'll be pissed too. Yeah, my sky's been yellow too, man. I think you're south of me, I want to say. I believe you're south of me. South west of me? Hey, did you ever find that site, Bratty Girl? Maybe. Be funny. We're like one stop away from each other. Oh, well, hey, hi, neighbor. Hello there. So, bunch of the commies got arrested today, by the way. Cops came in, took care of everything. Oh, you're up by Nevada. Oh, you were definitely east of me then. Never mind. I'm sorry, Laszlo. I'm in the mountains. We don't really put up with that bullshit here. I didn't believe it until I saw people literally not putting up with the bullshit there. I was like, all right. A little bit of stupid internet people news. Apparently Darkside Phil blew up his power supply in his computer. And then, yeah. Damn. Hard-working man. Apparently, this volcano also erupted in Guatemala. I don't know why I pronounced that wrong. Guatemala. Again, Darkside Phil looks like a meth-addicted crackhead. His computer got bricked. He couldn't fix it. For me, anytime I have PC issues, I usually be like, all right, guys, I'm going to be down for a day and fix this. I've learned a long time ago, don't ask chat for help. Well, financial help's fine. PC help's kind of hard because they're not in the room to help diagnose it, right? So you gotta do it yourself.
To piece this whole thing together to make that arrest. The accused suspect, you can see him right there on your screen, that is Aaron Farinacci. He's in the Spokane County Jail right now on $1 million bond. And court documents say he was found with a lighter and waterproof matches. Law enforcement add, according to court documents, that he also told them they were, quote, windproof. He was looked into for 2 previous fire investigations in Spokane County. Both of those previous fires were from summer of 2025. One incident in July of 2025, and then another in August of 2025. It's unknown what came of those 2 investigations, but we do know that records linked him to both. So for one of those investigations, there were photographs taken as a part of it, and he was photographed wearing a shirt that's a green shirt that said, "Who needs luck? I have charm." And then when witnesses say that they saw him acting suspiciously back on August 1st, right near the origin of the Old Trails fire, he was also reported to be wearing that same green shirt, again, that said, "Who needs luck? I have charm." Court documents say that at the time, deputies were able to talk to him after witnesses reported seeing him acting suspiciously and then leaving the area and then smoke coming. They were able to put out his information to have law enforcement be on the lookout for a suspect matching this description. The witnesses later confirming, yes, that is the suspect that they saw near the start of the fire. But law enforcement, they were still building their case. They did track him down. They did talk to him. He did deny on Saturday, August 1st, in that initial contact. He denied starting the fire. He denied being in that specific area, said he was in that general vicinity on some train tracks, but that he was adamant, according to these court documents, that he did not start the fire. So after that interaction with law enforcement on that first day, these deputies were responding to the fire to help with those critical efforts. It was still in the early stages of the investigation, so he was detained, he was let go, and the deputies went back to what they responded there to do, and that was to alert those neighbors to help with the evacuation orders that were coming in. But the investigation continued. Major Crimes Unit taking it over, continuing to try to piece this thing together. Again, all of this according to court documents. They finally had enough to make their arrest for this suspect on Monday. They were able to move in with a SWAT team, making that arrest at his apartment that's miles away from where the fire happened. But just, incredible to see that he was apparently tied to 2 separate fires. It doesn't appear that he was charged in either of those incidents dating back to 2025. But yeah, it's a lot to unpack, and we're still going through them.
Yeah, that's brand new information that we've just got into the newsroom thanks to those court documents you obtained. The other conversation, he's known to local law enforcement in the last year with those questions of the arson, but so many people are talking about charges against him for killing his dad in Arizona years ago.
Yeah, so Clyde, that actually happened. I'm hoping maybe we can pull this up for you. There it is right there. Okay. So back in October of 2010, he was, police say he shot and killed his father. So what ended up happening there is it seems like maybe the case was pled down to a manslaughter charge, which is still a felony. He did do time for that. He was in custody, and we've been showing you, I'm hoping we can maybe pull it back up. There it is right there. We've been showing you an image of him that is much older. If we can come back in on me to show this. So that shot here is from years ago, and his appearance, of course, has seemingly changed. We also, because if you head over here, this is the image released to us by the sheriff's office of the suspect. So his appearance has certainly changed in the years that have passed, but he was released from custody, did his time for the manslaughter charge, and I believe he was out in 2020.
Yeah, go ahead, Sam.
No, go.
Well, just a lot of people talking about why was he out, and you kind of just explained that for us. And then also in addition to the misinformation that's out regarding different identities and pictures of people being put up, it does go to explain like why he looks so different.
Oh yeah, if we can come back in on this shot one more time just to kind of hit on this again. So this photo said to be years old. This is current. This was given to us by the sheriff's office. So yeah, their appearance has changed, and we are definitely, hearing and seeing the comments about that, but that's what we can report on that.
Okay, so we're talking about the court documents, so we expect him to be in court today.
We do expect him to be, yes. So he was booked at 8:30 last night. There is a cutoff time based on when you're booked, but by 8:30, he should surely be before a judge this afternoon, likely 1:30.
Okay.
Something else I thought was interesting is we said that he was arrested at 5. He was booked at 8:30. You know the process well. You think that questioning was happening during that time?
Absolutely. With those major crimes detectives, they were able to question him. The extent of that's unknown. We do know that he did agree to talk with law enforcement when they first contacted him back on August 1st. And I'll say it again, he did deny starting that fire. So when confronted, this was another detail that I did find interesting. So when confronted about, well, witnesses say they saw you were acting suspiciously, according to court documents, he basically said they don't know the whole story. Let me try to find that exact quote.
But climate change.
If we can pull up a photo of him one more time, because it is important too that people are talking about this and looking at, did you have contact with him? Did you see something that day? Can you help in any way? Because law enforcement, this is far from over. This investigation, I mean, this could play out for a lengthy time, but here it is in the court documents. So this is verbatim from these records, that when confronted about witnesses seeing him, he replied, quote, that the witnesses don't know the whole thing. What he meant by that, only he knows.
Yeah, we're going to find out more, obviously, as he makes that first court appearance today. And the charge right now, first-degree arson.
Correct.
We understand these charges, depending on the severity of this fire, once the dust settles, so to speak, those charges could change.
Oh my gosh, Sam, when you think about it, law enforcement, these families, they're still even starting to tally up the damage and the destruction that his alleged actions led to. A lot more charges could be coming.
And we also haven't got a clear issue or a clear answer yet as they try to assess injuries and deaths. Yesterday we reported for the first time 14 people still missing, or I should say unaccounted for. The sheriff's office hadn't been able to track down at that time 14 people. They didn't know. They could be in shelters, they could be staying with family.
Absolutely. Lost a cell phone.
Not even
a million reasons.
Exactly.
Totally.
But whatever that might turn out to be as well, more charges could be coming.
Well, and then Clyde, another important kind of distinction there. That is just the county. I don't believe, have we had those same figures from the city of Spokane? Because 2 different law enforcement agencies, those are the county cases. So, you know, I think we should check in with Spokane PD to see if they have their own that they're looking into. And also it's up into Stevens County as well.
And for a point of clarity too, 3 separate wildfires. And
Absolutely.
this person of interest, this person who's in custody right now, only linked to one of these 3
Absolutely.
wildfires.
The other fires that are still very active, ongoing, burning at this hour, the cause of those has not been released. So we just know that that single fire, the one that started in Airway Heights, just north of Airway Heights, believed to be a case of arson.
All right. Haley, thank you.
Yeah.
We'll continue to follow this today. You can expect to see nonstop local in the court when we see 37-year-old Aaron Farinacci appear for the first time with that first-degree arson charge.
And we are anticipating that court appearance to be later on this afternoon. Right now, initial reports would be at 1:30 this afternoon. Of course, we'll break into our coverage right away when we're able to bring you that news.
Well, I don't know. Hopefully he'll never walk again. Last thing he wanted was some stupid prick out there burning shit down because he's having a bad day. Man, I don't know what the hell's going on with some of these people with their rifles. Someone's got a tube of a Loctite green that they're just slobbering all over their the connection, you know, where their bolt, where the rifle goes in to where the bolt comes in. Right as the right where the threads are to tighten it on. It's like, what the fuck are you doing? Let me just Loctite the shit out of this. No one can ever get it off again. Just in case I break something and I need to remove the barrel, you know, I gotta go take a torch to it to get it off. So for anyone that doesn't know, certain Loctites, to release them, you gotta actually heat them up to like 1500 degrees or something stupid. Yeah, it's just freaking welded at that point. I don't know if that's unpopular, Laszlo. I said that earlier at the stop of the stream. Random people are like, yeah, man, it's going to really improve your rifle. No, just tighten on the goddamn nut, the barrel nut. Oh, I'm worried about the barrel nut backing off. That's because you're stupid and you don't know what torque specs are. Learn torque specs. Go buy a torque wrench. Add a torques. Torque. Say it with me now. First, you gotta learn to twerk. Give us your best twerk. Somebody's giving away a beautiful piano. I wish I had room for it. I mean, it is huge, but it is beautiful. I don't know if anyone here has ever tried to move a piano by themselves. Things are heavy as shit. I don't think that car is going to be in great shape. Maybe a coat of paint would be all right.
There were fires in the streets. Some police had riot gear on. It all came to clear out protest encampments in the state capitol after an officer-involved shooting almost 2 weeks ago. We'll take you there live as this.
I'm not going to put on that dude from Madison, or he's talking about the Madison stuff, because he very much was like, oh, well, nobody got stabbed. And oh my God, Bill Cosby is now the same age as the amount of women he raped. 100. He made it.
Accused of intentionally starting the Old Trails fire, which has destroyed hundreds of homes, forcing thousands to evacuate. Spokane County Sheriff John Knowles says this man, Aaron Forrest Farinacci, is charged with first-degree arson. That's the top story we're tracking for you this morning. Thanks for joining us. I'm Sam.
Yeah, and I'm Kalai. The causes of the other two fires remain under investigation, but for now, all eyes are on the arrest of the accused arsonist.
Nonstop Local's Haley Gunther live this morning from outside the Spokane County Courthouse.
Yeah, Farinacci could be before a judge as early as this afternoon, booked into the Spokane County Jail at about 8:30 last night for one felony count of first-degree arson. Here's how we got here. Here's what we know. The investigation into him began early Saturday when a witness saw a man acting suspiciously near some trees. They reported he was bending over by some grass, looked nervous, and took off. The witness giving an excellent description to law enforcement, which started this whole thing. Investigators say he was found with waterproof matches and a lighter. By Monday evening, detectives had enough to make an arrest for arson. Let's take a look at the exact area we're talking about. The Old Trails fire broke out near Airway Heights Saturday before noon by Euclid and Old Trails Road. This is also where that neighbor saw his supposed bizarre behavior. He was contacted by police about a mile down the road, but this fire got out of control very quickly, and investigators there were prioritizing that critical work to try to keep the public safe and respond to that. But the investigation into him continued. He was taken into custody Monday evening at his home a few miles away on Elliott Drive.
As it happens in so many critical cases, it was citizens who were paying attention to their surroundings, being aware and willing to step up and say something that led to the relatively quick apprehension of Mr. Farinacci.
And this really is just the beginning. The sheriff asking anyone with information to come forward. It is important to know the photo you're looking at now, that was from his arrest given to us by the Spokane County Sheriff's Office. Other photos you've been seeing throughout this report are from his criminal history dating back to 2010 out of Arizona. He ended up pleading guilty to a manslaughter charge for fatally shooting his father. Outlets in Arizona reporting that was over an argument over some dishes. He did serve prison time.
Look, son, you don't do the dishes in your ass, though.
Made his way here to Spokane County, and of course that does bring us to summer of 2026 in the utter devastation that his alleged actions have caused for so many families in the region. Again, it's critical that if you know anything, if you can help in any way, you do connect with law enforcement. Sam and Kalai.
All right, Haley, and we know he'll be in court later today. You can expect that Nonstop Local will be there as well.
So yeah, they broke up the Madison encampment today.
Let's get you out to Mount Spokane High School this morning. This is where that command center has been set up for the last several days now, addressing the wildfire. The coordinated efforts being spearheaded now by the California Interagency Team 7. This is Tom Stokesbury joining us right now. Tom, you've been a vital link for us. The
you see where that big rectangle is by Oregon?
What's the number
just
one
below
thing that you can tell viewers this morning you want to share right now?
Actually, it's more of the square-looking one. I'm actually inside that one.
Well, the fire crews are extremely appreciative of the support the community has been giving them. The biggest thing for us right now, though, in this firefight is the Autumn Lane fire did move a couple thousand acres over the last 24 hours. And one of those biggest impacts was the fact that we had another drone incursion yesterday that forced us to land all of our aerial aircraft, which really hampered our suppression efforts. So we are moving forward, both with ground and air resources today with another full suppression strategy. We just want to remind the public.
Kind of why I want a full tank of gas. Yes,
really
the
hindering our
truck.
suppression efforts. In addition, we still have a very active firefight. Even the Old Trails fire and the Fairview fire, which are looking good, but they still have heat in them. Both of those fires actually had a spot outside the lines yesterday, which we picked up. Our resources picked up because we had them in the right place. Both of those were about 50 feet by 50 feet, but that just goes to show you there's still active flame, active heat in these areas, and that's why we got those resources in there, still continuing to do structure protection and continuing to keep these evacuations in place due to the fact that there's still the potential there. The amount of hazmat that's in these areas is very dangerous, so we want to make sure these areas are safe before we start to repopulate the areas.
Yeah, and Tom, I can't believe we're still talking about drones at this point. Is this a recent phenomenon? I know you've been into California, the Palisades fire. You've been across the country. Is this unique to our area? Are you just dealing with this all the time? And why aren't people just listening and stopping with the drones?
I think this is, as technology evolves, more people are starting to use the drones. A lot of the footage is being shared on social media, people's private pages. We asked them not to do it. Yes, we did see a huge uptick in the Eaton and Palisade fires, including a strike on one of our tankers on the Palisade fires, which goes to show you just how dangerous it is for our firefighters in the air. We're going to land our aircraft to protect our firefighters if we have drone incursions.
Yeah,
I said I can't. That's why I tried to get shekels on the internet.
Fire yesterday. It's near my house, and it did seem pretty abruptly that they stopped. I was hoping that it meant that the fire had stopped growing, but that's not the case. Can you give us a number now on the Autumn Lane fire, as well as acreage for the others and structures burned?
Yeah, so all total, we're a little over 10,000 acres. The Autumn Lane fire is a little over 5,600 acres, which is a growth of about 2,200 acres over the last 24 hours. So as far as structures, we're still well over 700. We have damage inspection personnel and resources that'll be showing up throughout the day today. We're going to have them on the line tomorrow, and we're going to start getting a more accurate number on those structures.
Yeah, can you tell us just in the last 24 hours, because we've seen that 700 number for the last day or so, any structures burned in that Autumn Lane fire overnight?
Well, no, that's the good news, is that we had the right people in the right places. So we had structure protection groups, both your Type 1, your big city engines, and your Type 3, your wildland engines, and hand crews protecting those structures in the wildland urban interface just in the event that this fire might have moved. So we definitely had the resources in the right places. So with that growth, there was no structures impacted, no additional structures impacted.
Okay, and then you just talked about the 50 by 50 foot fires that were spot fires outside the lines of those other two. Does that speak to the need to still keep those evacuations? Because we keep asking about people who think they should be able to return home at this point.
Yes, it's a testament to what we're still dealing with. It's still an active firefight. We have infrared planes flying over these fires. They're marking those hot spots. We're getting ground crews in there to what we would call search and destroy these hot spots and put them out. But even with a little bit of wind, it can throw an ember. Excuse me. And then the fuels that are so receptive because they're dry, when those embers land, they're going to take off. And we saw that yesterday on once on each of those fires. But fortunately, we definitely had the right people in the right place.
Tom Stokesbury with us right now. Tom, can you give us an idea?
I can have an ear filter going right now in the studio.
What specific resources are
I started coughing yesterday.
You've made this the #1 priority in the country right now. What are you using to fan or put out these fires?
So yes, we're still the #1 priority fire in the nation. We have over 1,000, close to 1,100 firefighters here right now. Probably looking at doubling that number over the next 3 to 4 days. The resources we're using are the best of the best. We have the elite hot shots, interagency hot shots. We have 5 of those crews here. Those are our elite firefighters on the ground. We have federal and local state engines that have been trained for the wildland urban interface here. So we really
there's
have the
always
best
one
of the
guy
best
that's good to
here,
try.
and we're working together as a team.
There was a
Tom, thank you so much for your
EMT story
time,
about this
and,
guy
good
that
luck
stuck
today
his
on
dick
this
in a
fire.
tailpipe of his vehicle.
Thank you.
It always feels good to talk to him. He really has an idea of what their team is here to do. And I love when he says the best of the best. It brings that kind of comfort to us, knowing that the best firefighters in the country, the best first responders in the country are here to help us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Took his ding dong, shut the right tailpipe of a running vehicle.
We can get, when you get
Burnt
the
off
best
his
of the
pecker.
best, you know you are in good hands. Meantime, this morning, of course, in an event like this, well, we need to lean on each other and our community through these wildfires, and we are accepting your donations right now. We have our phone lines open. This is specifically with Inovia and the Red Cross taking those donations. The phone number's on your screen. They'll take those phone calls until the top of the hour, 8 o'clock this morning. The number's on your screen, 509-443-1111.
And you can also make a donation online anytime using the QR code on your screen. Again, we thank you so much to all of you who have donated. $1.6 million raised so far. We'll continue to take those donations to the Red Cross and the Inovia Foundation.
All right, in the meantime, let's send it over to the Weather Center with Justin Spinney. Justin, you're tracking exactly how this fire started and its progression, its map to where we are today.
Yeah, and it was really good to hear that update.
I just don't know what possesses someone to do that. Be like, I have a good idea.
On the ground, hopefully getting some help again today by those wind-stained light, but it's
Let me
getting
stick
hotter
my
for them
ding
and
dong
staying
in here.
extremely dry. You heard about just how receptive the fire fuels are right now. That's not going to improve anytime soon. In fact, it could get even worse. It's a hot and dry forecast. But here's a look at our infrared satellite hotspot map. Still seeing the most fire activity, as we just heard, within Autumn Lane, which did have a little over 2,000 acres of growth last night, according to those fire crews. Still looking hot on the eastern side of that. You also heard it is still hot, even though we don't have those hot spots picked up on infrared satellite for the Old Trails and Fairview fire, with those little spot fires 50 by 50 feet that they got a hold of outside of those fire perimeters. So those evacuations are still in place, but ultimately it is still good news on the Old Trails and Fairview fire. Those fire crews just trying to put out those last few smaller hot spots in that area. Let's take a look at the forecast throughout the day, though. It's going to be a smoky day. It's going to be a hotter day today. Temperatures climbing back into the 80s in Spokane. That very bottom line there, though, that's the good news, that we have wind speeds expected to stay very light today. A northeasterly light push, light breeze really at the most. The strongest gust today getting up to around 15 miles per hour. But yeah, it is getting hotter, and we're not getting any more moisture in the atmosphere. It is extremely dry. Those dew point values falling down to the mid to low 30s once again today. That's going to bring our relative humidity down into the low teens. It'll likely be into the single digits tomorrow, showing just how dry the air and the landscape is. And when it comes to the wind gusts, that is the positive news this morning. Sam and Kalai expected to stay calm with the winds for the most part, with that little bit of a light breeze. We'll talk more about how that's going to impact our air quality, though, coming up.
All right. Thank you, Justin. In the meantime, we want to take a closer look at those latest evacuations right now for the wildfires.
Level 3 evacuations have been downgraded to level 2. That's the area you see in yellow. That means people who are evacuated Saturday afternoon, some now being allowed to return home as they're downgraded to that level 2.
And that's for Spokane County. Meantime, just across the county line over into Stevens County, that's part of the Autumn Lane fire, which, as we understand, we just got that update. It has now grown to 5,600 acres, 2,000 acres more just in the last 24 hours. That continues to burn. Much of the Suncrest area right now being told to get set. Areas just north having to leave immediately.
Now, a reminder, shelters are still open. If you need another place to stay, the Red Cross is still welcoming people at the Spokane Convention Center, where people have been sleeping since Saturday afternoon. Also, if you have livestock, if you have animals, you can take them to the Spokane Interstate Fairgrounds.
And meantime, Multicare has announced that Deaconess North off Division will now reopen this morning. That's just coming up in just a few minutes.
Yeah, the North Emergency Department closed Saturday because of the fires, so patients were moved to Deaconess Hospital and Valley Hospital at that time.
They'll be opening at 8 o'clock this morning.
Well, as firefighters continue to battle the flames, another challenge emerging for people forced to evacuate, casting their vote. Today's Election Day.
Yeah, absolutely. And with Washington's primary election day happening right now, Spokane County is making sure displaced voters can still register and return those ballots. Spokane County Auditor Vicki Dalton telling us that displaced voters out there, if you're listening right now, you can come down to the Spokane County Elections Office or Center Place in Spokane Valley between 7 a.m. and up to 8 p.m. tonight. Now, if you need a replacement ballot, you can go to any Spokane City Library or County Library branch location.
Now, Dalton spoke with Nonstop Local about the ballot boxes impacted by the wildfires.
We only had one ballot drop box that was within any of the evacuation zones, and that's the box at Indian Trails Library. That box has now been emptied. It is now closed. You cannot put a ballot into it.
Dalton says no ballots in that Indian Trail Library drop box were burned.
Time is 7:44. Let's take a look at your top local news headlines for our friends in the Tri-Cities and Yakima.
Here's Nonstop Locals, Colby and Brad.
One person is behind bars facing multiple charges after a hit and run. Richmond police say the driver of a car hit multiple parked cars in an apartment building in the 1700 block of Pike Avenue. The driver took off running, leaving the car like this, trapped under a collapsed carport. Officers took witness statements and learned the driver ran inside an apartment nearby, possibly with a gun. SWAT was called after the suspect refused to leave the apartment. Eventually, police went inside and took them into custody, then booked them into the Benton County Jail. The investigation is ongoing. For Nonstop Local, I'm Colby and Brad.
And so many people are asking, what can I do? Well, you can give. We do want to let you know, though, they cannot take actual donations, even though people lost their homes and they don't have even clothes besides what they had on their back. We are looking to get monetary donations so that it can go to the organizations that are going to help the people who need it. That's going to go long term, but then it's also going to go to immediate needs like clothes, gas cards, and food.
And that's why we have our phone lines open right now for you. This is for the Red Cross, for the Inovia Foundation, where those donations will go to the people being impacted by the wildfires, both immediately and in the long term. Our phone lines are open right now for those donations. 509-443-1111.
We always say there is light in the darkness, and you are that light. $1.6 million given so far. We thank you so much for your generous.
Guys surveying. Do. I've been sitting here working on music, or rather, telling the computer to make something. Let's see. Let's see what I made. Let's see if it's crap. I haven't listened to it yet. We're going to listen to it together as a family. A screwed up family. Look, I'm trying to launder as best as I can, damn it.
Smoke on the horizon, sky turned gray. Homes we loved went up in flames.
I think so, Chris.
60,000 hearts packing what they can, leaving behind the life they had planned. But in the dark of evacuation nights, neighbors hold each other tight, hands reach out across the ash and dust. We are stronger when we trust. We'll rise from the ashes, Spokane, hand in hand we'll build again. Every tear will water something new. Every heart that's hurting, we're here for you. We'll rise from the ashes, side by side. Love is louder than the fire's cry. You're not alone in this fight. We'll rise tonight.
I mean, I'm not against that biscuit.
Firefighters standing in blankets, meals, and quiet. You're okay. Strangers becoming family today. The river still runs, the pines will grow. What the flames took, love will sow. From the Colville hills to the city streets, hope is rising.
Welcome back to Wake Up Nonstop Local. Let's talk fun.
We'll rise from the ashes, Spokane, hand in hand, we'll build again. Every tear will water something new. Every heart that's hurting, we're here for you. We'll rise from the ashes, side by side. Love is louder than the fire's cry. You're not alone in this fight. We'll rise tonight. When the smoke clears and the sun comes through, we'll plant new roots in the ground we knew. Brick by brick and prayer by prayer, we'll fill the empty spaces with care. We'll rise from the ashes, Spokane, hand in hand.
Well, there is a way I could copyright it. I just do a Vocaloid over it instead.
Something new. Every heart that's hurting.
It's almost like I might have been working on ideas.
We'll rise from the ashes, side by side. Love is louder than the fire's cry. You're not alone in this fight. We'll rise, we'll rise. We'll rise. We'll rise tonight. Spokane, we're with you. We'll rise.
The next couple of days, and it can have impacts to health, especially if you're in those sensitive groups. If you have asthma, COPD, you're already aware of what those smoky conditions can be like.
Yeah,
So
I was over
we
here
are again
poking keys
expecting
for a
that
minute,
smoke to
and
stick
then,
around, but we will take that trade-off because it's better news
what's
for
wrong
our
with it?
fire crews that we do not
How much
have
would what
much
cost?
wind, hoping they're able to get a handle on some of these fires here in the inland northwest.
The
Let's take a look at our
Vocaloid?
7-day
It's
forecast
just I
and
read you the
continue to warm
vocals
up,
with it,
heading
so
up
it's
to
got
the
a different
mid-90s
thing.
in Spokane by
And I use
Thursday.
all the stems.
Breezy conditions expected Friday and
So
Saturday.
once you
Could get
remove
some
the
gusts up to
vocals and then
25 miles per hour. Not as
kinda
bad
like
as last
remix
weekend,
it.
but expecting
Then you can
elevated fire
copyright it.
danger again Friday into Saturday.
Doesn't cost me
Fort
anything.
Coeur d'Alene also going to get a little bit breezy toward the end of the week with hot and dry conditions otherwise. And as we look toward the Tri-Cities and Yakima, we're going to be knocking on the door of triple digits by Thursday with smoky conditions guaranteed really today into tomorrow. Sam and Clyde.
All right, in the next couple of minutes, we'll have the latest information on that arson arrest in the Old Trails fire, but also we thank you so
Copywriting
much
these days is easy.
The light in the darkness. The
Throw it up on
good,
my channel,
the
I'm done.
sad, rising from the ashes, the Connect
Though what I
Center,
would
your
do though
generous
is because it's
hearts,
for
$1.6 million
Spokane
given
County,
to our
Washington,
friends,
I'd
family,
probably just
loved ones
put like a
going
charity
through
link for
perhaps
people.
The worst tragedy of their lives.
I wouldn't take the money from that. That would make me a bastard. I would not do that. Music's different because it's hard to really copyright backing tracks. Like, a lot of stuff is going to be based on, like, vocalists and, you know, unless you, like, write something that's very easy to understand, you know, it was someone very unique, right? But designing, I don't know about art. I know about music because, well, whole industry thing I worked in, you know. You know.
Make sure all the school teaching the children how to be a homosexual, and make sure they all teach about the transgender. So that is what important to me. And make sure all the school teaching the children how to be a homosexual, and make sure they all teach about the transgender.
I don't know who made that. God. Oh, man, that's funny. I don't know who made that, but Jesus Christ. Oh, God. I don't know who that is. I don't know. I don't know who that is off my head. Yeah, I don't know who that is, Dr. Unk. I have no idea. Okay, so we'll have to wait. Yeah, never mind. Oh. Primus Adjacent. I like Primus Adjacent. So the dude over there in number 1 was just talking about how he was very much not talking about what really happened with the shooting, right? He's very much trying to a little tongue-in-cheek there. He's like, oh, he was gunned down. Gunned down? That's good. You need to make the money. Primus sucks.
Starline has just tipped $5.
Oh boy. All right, I think I'm going to head out for a bit. There's not much else going on. I covered the Madison stuff, covered the fire stuff for now. I covered the dude who we know is a scumbag and needs to be put on a fire pyre. So I'm going to be heading out. I say Primus sucks, and all the real Primus fans aren't really here, I see. Oh, there you go. But I am going to be out of here. I'm going to call it a night, go get me some sleep so I can come back hopefully by 6. Technically, it is my day off, but I will be going camping this weekend. So try to make enough money to go camping and put gas in the truck just in case emergency happens. All right, right on. See, somebody here. Somebody here's the real Primus fans. You have a good night, everyone, or rest of your day. And I'll be on tonight, probably around 6. So take care, everybody. Take care, everybody. Take care. Take care, folks in the back. Take care. I guess, Laszlo, if you want. You're your own man. You can do whatever you want, buddy. I'm going to go to sleep for a while. See you guys later. Bye-bye. So long.